to an extent, the reading culture of Nigerians is not too good. A lot of people believe that every other thing is much more important than buying a book to read. Apart from the fact that people just want to read books for the purpose of passing their exams or going through school, hardly do people believe that reading outside that purpose still will help them to an extent.
It's been full of ups and downs. Nigerians don't read. I dare to disagree because we're 16k followers strong on our Instagram account, on other platforms as well. We also have a huge following. So if at all people are not interested in books in Nigeria, we wouldn't have people follow in the first place. And it's so exciting to find out that there are so many people outside of Lagos in deep core parts of Nigeria that buying and shopping for us, and they are just so excited that this book is locally available and it's sort of like within reach for them. So it's been exciting. It could be better, but again, we do it for the culture, you do it for the passion, and hopefully more stakeholders get interested in it, and it gets better. I got into selling books because I was very passionate about it, and then I was hungry to find other people like me. I wanted to connect with them, and the kind of books that fascinated me were not, I could hardly find people around who were excited about them as well. So at the time, when I interact with people within my age range, they're either talking about some foreign authors that write books outside of the context that I'm familiar with. So I wanted to meet with other young people, other people of like minds who were excited about the kind of books that I liked. And that was basically how it all begun. And then beyond that also, I definitely used to go to some website online to find out what books are first to reckon with internationally. And then most of those books are not available locally, so I had to either shop from some big names out there. And then I thought, if these books are available and people are actually talking about them, reviewing them, perhaps there might be young people or people in Nigeria as well that would really want to read about them. So I end up bringing a few copies, see if I can circulate within my circle, publicize, use social media, and see how far it goes. And so that was how it all started.
It's actually more like one of the out of inspiration, and then the drive to bring books close to people, because at some points that I loved reading, I found it hard getting the kind of books I really always wanted to read. So it was like, you could get this for other people, and then it's been there for me. So I'm having fun doing what I'm doing, and I'm the fact that I can have access to books too as a bookseller is fantastic for me. Yeah, it's been profitable. It's how you do the business that makes it profitable for you. So it's been profitable. It may not be the best of the businesses in the country or in the world, especially maybe in this part of the world, knowing fully well the attitude to reading and education, and then even government's attitude to education, So, but still, there are still people who know that without education, they would be where they are, and then even if they are not educated, they get the best of educated people to work for them. So that means education, which comes through reading of books, is a key and vital role in this life.
It has enhanced reading, but what I realize is that even for those who normally would not like to buy a Bible before, because of the ability to read their Bibles from their phones, a lot of people are beginning to dump reading Bibles on their phones with buying regular Bibles, because they've seen the importance of having to carry a Bible or read a hard copy Bible. When people read from their phones, most times they can't easily go back or even highlight settings. But with the hard copy Bible, they are able to do some highlighting, go back, make references and all that. So technology, to an extent, it has its own advantage and its own disadvantage to our business. Advantages are the fact that people could, read at any time they want to, in the dark, wherever. But disadvantage is the fact that handy, when you have your books on your media, electronic media. But for those who still cherish the hard copy books, they still come back, to pick up the hard copy books from us. A lot of Nigerians are writing more, because virtually on a daily basis we get new books from Nigerian writers, asking that Latona should carry their books. It's a bit challenging, but at the same time we try to encourage them, to review their books and then accept it for display on our shelves.
We still battle with issues of piracy. More effort still needs to be put in place to help us combat issues of piracy, and then ensure that people are more.
Any small thing, any little thing, there's fights, and it's all because of the level of exposure and education of the people, and it's playing a role in every facet of the economy, every facet of the society, because people are not well enlightened about their rights, about the opportunities that they can actually get, and many of those things come in through parts of education, and reading is part of it.
Thanks for the news on the hour on Plus TV Africa. Here are the stories making the headlines. I am Adebanke Odunoye. House of Representatives has passed a resolution to invite President Muhammadu Buhari to appear before the House to brief members on the security situation in the country. The decision was taken at Tuesday's plenary during consideration of a motion moved by members from Borno State on the recent massacre of 43 rice farmers in the state by Boko Haram insurgents. No date was announced for the invitation. The debate had earlier turned rowdy after the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, appealed that it would be inappropriate to invite the President to disclose the actions being taken towards handling the security situation in the country. The Speaker described it as counterproductive. Some members of the House were opposed to the Speaker's position, and this turned into a disruptive debate. The House then went into an executive session of the matter. The Nigerian Senate has asked President Muhammadu Buhari to sack the nation's service chiefs immediately over what it describes as their failure to secure Nigerians. This followed a motion by Senator Kashim Shettima on the recent killing. Professor Mahmoud Yakub has been confirmed by the Nigerian Senate at the hearing of Kintola University to fulfill her original mandate. He spoke during a thank-you visit with his team to Governor Boyega Oyetola for his cooperation on the final resolution and transfer of ownership of the university to Oyo State.
The institution was closed down for several years. And I said to those people that there are several ways to skin a rat. But what is important is we want to get results. We want to get our children back to school. We want to get the university to the point where it can fulfill.
So we just believe that the best thing is in the interest of all of us. Let Oyo have the ownership in a manner that will not affect the chances of our students. I mean, he said it, that the students of Oyo and Osun will enjoy the status of owner state.
Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma has flagged off the reconstruction of Owerri Okigwe and Owerri Olu Road to ease the hardship faced by commuters plying the road. Uzodinma said the reconstruction of the two major roads by his administration is to stimulate economic activities and bring prosperity to bear in the country. The roads projects are being executed at the cost of 55 billion naira and expected to be completed within 18 months. Governor Uzodinma said the state had already paid 15% of the total contract sum, which also covered construction of a drainage, and appealed to communities close to the roads to cooperate with the contractors, noting that no property will be demolished during the project.
We are tired of palliatives. We want to have a permanent solution to the problem of this road, over Okigwe Road. Today you have a permanent solution. Moving from Omona, from Amaraku, from all the way down, properly done roads. It is on that note that I want to most respectfully invite that contractor, that international contractor, one of the best you can think of, that after the road,
and we're here today also to flag off the Owerri Okigwe, which is a 55-kilometer road. Basically, work has started, the equipment are here, we'll immediately start the work. What we're going to do here is we're going to reconstruct all the failed portions of the road. We're going to start with the most critical and then go to the next one, and then we're going to give a new touch for the whole road, overlaying, touch up and everything, and we're going to make sure we add shoulders to all the
economy of Imo people and bring prosperity to bear. It means that we must create an economic access, and to be able to create economic access, all the economic highways must be restored. So
A music producer for Ugandan pop star and presidential candidate Bobi Wine has been wounded in the mouth by a rubber bullet during clashes between security personnel and and Wine supporters. Spokesman for Wine.
When I see people today shouting, "We're not too young to run, we are ready to run." Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government,
Now in foreign news, Germany's biotech and its US partner, Pfizer, has applied for EU's regulatory approval for their COVID-19 vaccine, raising hopes that the first vaccinations could be administered in December. The two companies announced Tuesday that they submitted an application to the European Medicines Agency on Monday, seeking pandemic on the economy and current recession. It was read at the opening of Tuesday's plenary by Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila. The European Council on Tuesday approved a set of conclusions in response to a call for debt relief for African countries. A report says the conclusions highlight the increasing debt vulnerability in low-income countries, particularly in Africa, and underscores the European Union's support for a coordinated international approach on debt relief efforts for African countries. The Council welcomed the G20 Paris Club Debt Service Suspension Initiative, the SSI, which offers a temporary debt moratorium to the poorest countries to help them manage the severe impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, and its extension until 30th of June 2020, with the possibility of a further extension by 6 months. It welcomes the G20 agreement on a common framework for debt treatment beyond the DSSI, as a major step forward in the sovereign debt restructuring international architecture, calling for the negotiation of debt restructuring when necessary, on a case-by-case basis, while ensuring strong conditionality on public financial management. Up next is our roundup on entertainment news. Rita Ora has issued an apology for parting with 30 people after facing backlash for breaking lockdown laws to celebrate her 30th birthday. According to her, she is deeply sorry for breaking the rules and in turn understood that the action put people at risk and it was serious and inexcusable of judgment. She further revealed that she feels particularly embarrassed knowing firsthand how hard people have worked to combat terrible illness and being fully aware of the sacrifices that people and businesses have made to keep us all safe. And in sports, International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach is set to remain in office until 2025 as he will run unopposed next year for his second term. The IOC made the announcement on Tuesday. Bach succeeded outgoing President Jacques Rouge in 2013 after revealing over 5 other candidates in an election in Buenos Aires. Presidents are limited to 2 terms in office under the rules of the Olympic body. The length of the first presidential term is 8 years, with re-election securing another 4 years in office. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. I am Adebanke Odunoyin.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
If you lead, at least if they can do something for them, maybe little things at the end of the month, because we really like that. We too that are driving always give them something. If not because of them, there will be a lot of traffic over here.
Most times when I pass around, I saw that particular guy there doing some traffic work there. I'm encouraged because one, they are giving them a kind of privilege to also try and use their skills, you know, and they can also add to the society by also doing some other work like that. It's very good. So that will be a kind of an encouragement to other people so that they will not look down on anybody that is, they're also human beings like us. So for me, it's encouraging, and I think it's a very better idea.
I will support them at the same time just because of the traffic men are not much, and the last man are not here, and the policemen are not here, the PCRC members are not here, which I'm one of the members, but it's okay. We support them. At least if Lagos State government can look at a way they can just reach out to these ones by giving them other uniforms to, perform this duty they are doing at the same time. If the government can be able to reach out to them with some little funds every month, so to encourage them to do what they're doing instead of then going on the street begging people money.
This uniform, government does not give me this uniform. So the work what they do inside this order, many people that go see me, they go give me something what I go buy. So now the thing what I go take buy this uniform because na him be my uniform, na him my ID card.
I doubt if the community were the one that contracted them. I believe they are volunteers. But however, whichever way, I think the community should take advantage in the sense that they've changed from, instead of begging, they've decided to volunteer their service in controlling traffic. And basically they are trying. I remember sometime, was it early January or between early January and late December, I can't place it, at going close to a roundabout. If you're coming out from Etimi and the other ending, there's this crippled guy. Each time I close from work, I'm always seeing him there around 4, 5, 6. He's doing an amazing job there because usually that place used to be a spot for heavy traffic. Everybody wants to move, and so if we are the local government chair lady, or if there's a way we can get across to her, let her just take advantage and recruit them, and even if it's just a commission, it should be placed on a payroll or something.
In a separate event, we caught up with
add value to the life of the people around Hero Victoria Island. I think since they said that is what they want to do, let them continue doing.
However, motorists like Kalu, on the contrary, feels they are not needed all the time.
It could be better when there's much traffic, but now there is no traffic. Staying here is not all that conducive now because I suppose to have already passed.
While doing their bit to ease off the traffic, Ibrahim acknowledges that they meet motorists who sometimes are impatient with them.
I don't forget for that day. I just stopped the one person for this job. The time when you come block the road, I say stop, make you one person pass. So that time, for this man, I beg and say stop. No one stop. You ready to jam me for the motor? You don't know, say, you see me, say me, I am disabled. Why not stop? I know they stop him for nothing. Because he come blocking the road. He come show me, say, he get power. He blocked me for this, my eyes. Remain small, it will scatter my eyes.
Well, with over 1.6 million vehicles plying Lagos roads daily, just maybe volunteers like Ibrahim and Ismail.
Dangote Group has over time evolved into becoming the largest industrial group in Nigeria, including Dangote Cement, Dangote Sugar Refinery, and Dangote Flour, and his most recent project, Dangote Oil Refinery. He expresses his patriotism to Nigeria and Africa, not only in words but charitable deeds. He donated 150 million naira to stop the spread of Ebola in 2014. In 2018, he built a 1.2 billion naira business school in Bayero University, Kano. He was conferred with Nigeria's second highest honor, Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, by the former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Forbes ranked him first place as the richest man in Africa. Dangote is married and has 3 children. And this is the Mogul in 90 seconds.
and welcome to Tea Time on Plus TV Africa, channel 408. Tea Time is an entertainment analysis show for those who are catching us for the first time, and what we do is we cover big stories and important news in the industry about your favorite personalities, and also covers everything pertaining lifestyle. So basically, we're your entertainment and lifestyle go-to station. On this episode, we have a bunch of stories that are filled with drama that are going to be unfolding before our very eyes. But of course, I cannot do all of that alone. I have Ifeoluwa Oshike and Any Baby, like I like to call, who will be doing the analysis with me today. So please grab anything comfy. Make sure you have your chocolate, get comfortable, because it is about to go down.
Down.
How's it going, people?
I'm good.
It's good, man.
Please, who else woke up with weekend vibes this morning?
I think it's because it's December. Happy New Month!
And Merry Christmas in advance.
Yes.
All right, to the viewer, Happy New Month. Merry
Rest
Christmas.
of December.
Yeah.
So you can't smell all weekend? Like, you're not feeling the vibe?
No.
Am I the only one?
Yeah, no, I just came out the weekend. Like,
True. Today's Tuesday.
and you're in the weekend already.
I don't know.
But when we asked you about your weekend yesterday, you said it was awesome because you were watching movies. It wasn't awesome after.
So are you still watching movies?
Yeah,
you're still watching movies.
That's
why you're still in the weekend vibes. I mean, we just finished the weekend, but I know I don't feel like the week has run fast or. It's
so slow, actually.
Yeah, it's only Tuesday since morning.
Since Monday. It's Monday. It's still Tuesday.
But I can't believe it's Christmas. This year has been something else. Shout out to everybody who still has lungs in there.
You know,
hey,
I went for an event on Sunday, and when the MC opened up, the first thing she said was like, I just want you to look at anybody next to you that is still alive in 2020. That this is not even that year where you start asking people, what have you achieved this year? Were you able to get to that business you said you were going to do? Were you able to do this? It's just a year to be thankful that, man, I'm still alive. I'm still breathing. After all the craziness of the year, we're still here. Come on,
like
strong.
you really have to look at the person closely and say congratulations.
Congratulations.
You made it,
like,
man.
It's one of those years when we all get, you know, spiritual. Look at your neighbor. Look at the man next to you and shake him and say, this is your year.
And shout out to everybody who's gotten a bit of a burnt from 2020. Either lost someone or like lost their job or their company. Like 20, I'm not really a big fan of like all these like
your salaries.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a. I'm not really a big fan of like Merry Christmas and New Year and New Year's resolution. I don't really. I'm not into that. But I feel like this particular year, I feel like I'm holding on to that because a reset would be nice. Even if legit, it doesn't really matter. I don't think the world knows the difference between. It was man-made structure, obviously, but I feel like it's just nice to even be able to give myself that break of like, can I reset? Because last year was a lot.
But I don't know, are we still in 2020 still?
Yeah. I've been in 2021 for a long time.
I think I'm even in 2022.
I even tell people 2021.
You jumped to 2021.
Yeah, this year did not really count that much.
Oh, you're still in 2020?
Yeah.
You know, someone
a lot
said,
can still happen, though.
Someone said the year
what
is
can still
so
happen in 2020? I feel like we've seen everything.
Man, calm down. See, in the same year, people bought houses, people bought cars, people... What were you? You gave me a long list yesterday. People did great things. So it's just being innovative and knowing what worked for you. It didn't work for majority, so maybe that's why a lot of people. But at least there's some people that.
Some people are praying that COVID continues because it will help them. I'm telling you, reality TV star Leo Da Silva has explained why he is ready for marriage. The former BBN Niger double Wahala housemate took to his official Twitter page to reply a fan who came to him for saying he is ready for marriage shortly after tweeting that women should be feared. And I quote from this Twitter user, "You went from fearing women to now being ready to get married," the Twitter user wrote. And Twitter user, I am with you on that one. I don't understand the jump. Anyway, explaining his sudden change of heart, the 27-year-old Lagos-born entrepreneur wrote in response, and I quote, "Fair women, not fair woman." Or more. Okay, then the reality star has also made a case for men who demand that their potential partners be financially capable as they are. According to him, no man wants a burden. Please, guys on the table, explain to me. Fair woman, as in like my people. Okay. Fair woman and fair women, what's the difference?
I don't understand.
I don't understand it.
Okay, so I think it's a general term when you fear women generally and what they're capable of doing, especially when they come together. We know men know about the strength of women and all they can achieve when they're together.
Okay.
So that's one way to look at it. And it's also a way to look at it as generalizing that, okay, it's not fear woman, because we all have a woman in our life. Like every man has a woman. We all have mothers. We're probably not so scared of our moms, but when you say women, that's generalizing it. Do you understand? So yeah, it's not about one particular person. But,
So he's promoting fear women.
Well,
But he's
I
not
think
promoting
it's-
fear a woman.
Yeah, but now he's fearing a woman because now there's a woman he wants to marry. That's why he's ready for marriage.
Are you, do you understand the story? Maybe you can speak it to me in women terms and I'll understand, because
I'm speaking to you in men's terms.
yes, it's not entering. I don't understand this, Sha, but either way, he said he's happy, he's ready to get married and settle down, and I guess that's...
He's just trying to say, do not personalize this. It's not about you. It's not about any baby. Don't fear Ife. Don't fear Eniola.
But fear women.
Women, generally.
Don't fear one woman.
If Eniola, not women. If Eniola, not women.
I don't know. It's saying don't personalize it. That is, if you feel you shouldn't be feared, then you shouldn't be feared, but fear women.
That's confused me the more.
Leo, the more I'm trying
Leo.
I think you're doing a terrible
Bro,
job at
Just
helping
take
you out.
your L. You jumped too fast. When you were screaming and shouting, fear women, fear women, fear women.
And one woman
You
showed up
don't know
that time now.
A woman is a woman. A woman is a woman. All together. I don't understand. Any and Ife and okay, but so we should fear any Ife and Desola, but don't fear just Desola.
Yes, now
or
the one
something.
you're in love with, don't fear.
Don't fear one woman.
Like you
Fear
see,
more
that's
than
my
one.
problem with all these motivational speakers.
But when you guys say fear men, don't you guys say fear men? Men are
Yes, we
come.
do, but we don't go 2 minutes after and then say I'm ready for marriage. That's the
Oh,
problem.
wow. I've seen men as come and then you send me your wedding invitation.
Okay,
Are you
You don't
joking?
understand. The
Are you
conversation,
kidding me?
today is the space in between how he changed. Do you remember that fear women was not the only statement he asked? Somebody even mentioned to him, because we talked about that, when they were like, are you sure you shouldn't generalize? And he was adamant. I wish we had the screenshots of that if I knew we were going to be bringing up the past conversation. He even responded to that person saying they're all like that, and it's even made it a geography thing and said it's Lagos women, I fear all of them, blah blah
And
blah.
now you're
That
ready
same
for
man, not even up to a week, is not telling me. Okay, maybe it's over a week, but it's not up to a month.
It's more than
And
a month.
no, it's not. It's not. No, it's
Yeah,
not.
we
Because
know.
it's since I was back from being ill, and I've only been back for three weeks. This is my 3rd week that we just started.
So almost a month.
Almost a month.
Anything can change
And then,
in almost
you know,
a month.
You see, that's even fine. If anything can change, you're not even missing. You're not even getting my point. That's even fine. That you've not realized that there's some woman that you
That
like.
is a woman with
You know
not-
that's
that is not
okay.
a woman.
It's the response. It's the response for me that is very stupid and silly. Fear women, not woman. Bro, go and sit down. Leave Twitter.
Like, when
leave
you
the
read that, did you
keyboards.
pause like,
your motivational whatever
Hello.
is
He has found a woman
rolling-
that is not women. How about that?
Hey, you should have said that. You should have said that. That makes sense. That
A
makes
woman that
sense.
is not women.
You say, I found a woman that is not.
I changed my mind.
Yeah, you understand? Like, what are you talking about?
Okay, but let's not forget what he said about don't be a burden to your partner. I think that is very, very... So many women, when you date a guy, you believe that, okay, he's supposed to provide for me, he's supposed to get me clothes. Nah, it's not supposed to be that way. I think, what were we talking about? That like, you have to be teammates and not backbone. I think that we should bring that back to the
school. In the office. Hey, they came for us.
So no man wants liability in his
Yeah.
life. As a woman, I think you should have your own money. You should have so
absolutely.
this respect is even going to be between two of you. So please don't.
Do you think some women get lazy when they start saying that you are capable of providing?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think some women actually get.
Isn't that natural though? Let's not lie. Because even me, when I go, let's leave even men. When I go home,
okay.
If I go home for too long, and I know that I'm not gonna like think about feeding, the tissue paper, the toilet paper, it's somebody that bought it, there's somebody to clean my bed and all of that. I get very lazy. I get comfortable. All of a sudden, that side business that I wanted to, I've not touched it the whole time because I'm chilling at home.
I think that's part of what he's trying to tell you too, that look, you can't be like that. The fact that you know that this guy...
Oh, obviously.
Like making mental notes.
I'm not disagreeing to that. I was saying that as a response
romantic.
to... I was saying that as a response to you when you were saying that women, it's not really a woman thing. It is very natural that when you get comfortable, because sometimes discomfort is what makes you challenged. If you're very... Have you not seen rich kids that you're like, oh my gosh, this guy's not doing anything. Nothing at all. Like, he's just living his life being a rich kid. Because comfort does that. And then you see some average Nigerian who has 5 businesses. She's selling soap and comb, and then she's doing a shoe business, and she also has a 9-to-5, and then she ties gilly in the weekend and does makeup and also makes wigs. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so I think it's very natural. That's why I was saying that to you, because if you don't make it like women get comfortable, it's a bit unfair. It's not really...
And you know, sometimes men, they contradict themselves. They tell you like, okay, don't work, I'll take care of you. And at the end of the day,
Guess what?
Continue, I like.
Don't work.
I'll take care of you. And later, she's lazy. You don't do anything. It's like, what do you want? Come on.
Or they'll tell you, if you're at home, they'll say, you don't go out, you don't have friends. You have your life. Don't be dependent on me. They start going out. I don't like women who go out too often. Now, what are you wearing? You're always with your friends. You don't have time for relationship.
What do you want me to do?
That's also a very good point.
See,
I like
everybody needs to know that there's a boundary, right? There's a boundary to everything. Like, if I tell you, oh, you don't go out, you need to live your life, and you're now turning into a Monday to Friday thing, of course I would question you. Now, me suggest them to you now, no can say leave me at home. Do you understand? Yes, it's that simple. I think say leave me at home, but go out, have fun, but with wisdom. Do you understand? Now, at the same time, I'll take care of you, I'll do this. Doesn't mean I'll buy your pants, your bra, your water, you drink.
But you telling me not to work and just see that?
If he has already made a good point, say let's use wisdom. That doesn't just apply to the females, but also the males. Let's move on to another man in the news, but this time around very different. It's not tweeting rubbish. And that's our self-acclaimed star boy, who is the recipient of the 2020 BET Soul Train Award. He won the award alongside American superstar Beyonce for their collaboration on the song Brown Skin Girl. That song is off Beyonce's The Lion King, The Gift album. The award show, which held on Sunday, November 29th, aired on BET and saw American superstar Chris Brown emerge top winner with 4 awards, including Best R&B Soulmate Artist and Song of the Year. The ceremony was hosted by Martin Starr, Tasha Campbell, and Tichina Arnold. Now, the category in which, obviously, Wizkid was in was the Video of the Year, and that was by, like I already mentioned, Beyonce, Blue Ivy, St. John, and Wizkid, which is Brown Skin Girl. The people who, I guess, lost to them were Chloe and Hailey, the twins, on their video called Do It. And I like that song. And Chris Brown, Go Crazy, featuring Young Thug, which was in basically almost every category. And then we also had H.E.R., her, for Slide, featuring YG. And then we also had Lizzo for Good as Hell. And then Skip Marley and her again, how she also did well in this video for Slow Down. So yeah, obviously Beyonce and Wizkid came on top of that one. And I'm happy about that. I feel like it's nice. I think so. I think that song was really nice. I like what it stood for. That was a Wizkid song that I held on to say, you still have me in your corner, especially because of this song. Obviously, I'm biased because I've loved Wizkid from a long time ago. I'll yabby more, but I'll still listen to his songs. But Brown Skin Girl gave me something to be like, this is extraordinary. This is actually like a song with so much meaning that still had a vibe. It was still a banger. And everybody knows on this table, I'm big on like women issues, one, and now I'm big on colorism. And that song really was subjected to that. Like, listen, despite everything that's going on and what the society has said as to who's fine and what skin color is nice and what skin color isn't, Brown Skin Girl, darling, you're doing really well. And that cuts across the globe because colorism is not just in Nigeria, Africa, and America. You see it in India and all of that. So this song means a lot to the whole entire world. So I'm proud that Wizkid is on such a song, and I'm very happy that they're also getting awards for that.
And do you remember when the song just came out? Like, it was everywhere. Every girl's Snapchat video, everyone's ringtone. Like, well, they deserve the award, though. But it was kind of difficult because Lizzo was there.
Yes.
Like, Well, they deserve it.
Even Chloe's Do It. That I thought that was gonna get it because those girls are doing really well. But then
I was actually voting for Lizzo, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
Okay,
me too.
Brown Skin Girl, amazing song, of course, amazing cinematography at the end of the day as well, even though Wizkid showed just like a few seconds in the video and then it disappeared, but it was a great video, and I think they deserve the award compared to every other video that was nominated alongside this video. I think Brown Skin Girl was the latest for me. A big shout out to Chris Brown as well, you know, because you know.
What's your thoughts on that song? It's everywhere.
Go crazy.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Do you think it was? Okay, let's talk about this category. Song of the year. Did you think that song was the song
Name
of
one
the
song
year?
that is bigger.
Brown Skin
Really?
Really?
No, Brown Skin Girl was Brown Skin Girl 2020?
Yeah.
I think it was 2019.
No, this is for 2020.
No, I mean like, when was it released? Go Crazy was released in 2020. Was Brown Skin Girl released in 2020 or 2019?
Lion King, was it not this year?
I'm not so sure about that.
Okay.
But whatever it is, I think Brown Skin Girl, though, it would fall into a certain category. Not everybody can, but Go Crazy is for everybody. It's just for you to go crazy. I think it's the song of the year for me, Sha. Maybe because I heard it a lot, and I know a lot of people that like the song, and I also like it personally.
The song is fire,
the challenge,
the challenge, and you know, everything put together, I think it deserves Song of the Year. But I can't think of any song bigger than Go Crazy. Yeah, Brown Skin Girl, maybe, but it's Brown Skin Girl. I want to listen to that 24/7. Maybe because I have energy, you know.
So have you heard Lizzo's song?
I can't, no, me, I can't. You know, I can't.
Have you heard Lizzo's song, Good as Hell?
Yeah, that song was
that
fire.
song had a message. That's what I love about the song. Like, women empowerment, like, be confident no matter what you're feeling, no matter your body size.
Life is too serious for us to be thinking serious song. This one, we just go crazy.
What's about Song of the Year? Not like
we just want to vibe.
Like
song that women empowering women. You know, what's the meaning of all of
that?
Where we
Vibes,
just
but
want to
also
go
have
crazy.
message. Like, if you're going to give the Song of the Year to someone, that song should be able to do everything. She should be able to give you vibe. She should give you message. And there's a lot of songs that did that. Like,
come on, go crazy with your business empowerment. Go crazy with your love life. Relationship. Go crazy with your finances. Abba. You can go crazy with absolutely.
I don't know. I don't know. At first, when I first saw the first song that song won, I was award that song won. I was like, okay. And then I saw it again, and I saw it again, and I saw it. I'm like, okay, wait, is this the same Go Crazy? Because that Go Crazy was nice, but I don't think it was like, oh my god. And then I don't know. Okay, anyway, we have to consider that it's also a black dominated award because I think there were bigger songs. I know the song that Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber let out, even though I wasn't like, oh my god, I'm in love with this song so much. I wasn't like that. Why did you do that? Oh my god. But that song was big. That
Stuck
song,
with you?
yes,
You're not in love with it?
I'm not like, oh my jeez, like I would die for this song. No,
the song would die for.
There's some song I was like, yeah, it was okay. It was really nice. I still have it on my phone. But I think that song, especially for 2020, was like the song of the year. They brought, like, the music video was made by fans around the world in regards to COVID and all of that. That song was huge, but obviously you can't bring that into this conversation because this is BET, which is Black Entertainment. Anyway, let's quickly go on a real quick
Soul Train
break.
or not BET, madam.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Today, we have National Assembly that is as dormant as we, the people.
They still believe that the Nigerian youths are...
I think sometimes our leaders just think maybe we're all morons because some actions they take, you just, you ask yourself, do I look this dumb? Do we look like dummies?
Hello and welcome back. This is Tea Time on Plus TV channel 408. We've been talking about a lot of things in case you've missed it, but don't worry, we've got a lot more in store. Next story on the line is a Nigerian journalist identified as Motolani recently got singer Tiwa Savage irritated with his article about her Celia album. Tiwa Savage has been reacted to this journalist and called Motolani, who wrote a music review about her. And she called him out on Twitter, basically. The highly anticipated album was released on August 27, 2020, and it was met with both positive and negative comments. Calling out Motolani, the singer stated that her brand is not struggling, adding that her son, who is not up to 10 years old, has bagged more money than him and his entire company combined. Tiwa Savage also reminded Motolani of the time he came to her house, and after an interview, he begged her for a photo with her. And according to her, he is a fan, using the F word and even now gave him a kiss at the end of the jab. We've talked about this conversation, of course.
I don't know, say celebrities, they count when we take pictures with them. yeah. This one, I'm like, oh, so when I take a picture with you, I'm a fan.
Like, honestly, I don't take pictures with. I don't. I don't. I saw when I went to what's it called? My friend, if she's watching the show, she'll know I'm not lying. When we went to pick up plastic on the weekend, because we volunteered to pick up plastic. Don't mind if just ignore him. When we go outside, especially if I'm just meeting you as a street, like I'm on the street, you're on the street, you don't know who I am or what I do. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, Davido. And Davido is, have you seen Davido in person? He's like a ball of fun, such energy. He's actually calm. He's not the one that's like raising up his nose or whatever. I just went, we had the conversation. He said to me, he was like, oh, are you not coming to the beach past? I said, no, please, we're doing plastic. Everyone else was like, okay, let's take a picture. Everybody had pictures with Davido. I did not even offer. And I did that the same thing with everybody else I've met. I'll have a conversation with you and I'm like, oh my goodness, I love you or whatever. But to say, can I have a picture? More like it doesn't come naturally to me at all. Except you come into my crib, which is this table. You've sat down. You're in my home. I'm the one that's hosting you. Okay. The decent thing is take pictures afterwards. But I've never done.
The decent thing is for them to ask to take a picture with me. Come on, you came to my yard.
Do you understand? But I'm not the taking picture kind of person. So when I saw this one, I was like, that can never even be me because.
Okay,
it does not
before
happen.
we go far, imagine meeting Ariana Grande. You won't ask her to.
Let me tell you the one person I've taken a picture with, and she didn't even know, because I just saw her in my background, and I was like, please take a picture. That's how important this person is to me. Okay. It is more Abudu. That is the only person. I lost words, but in terms of your singing, and you want me to be raising my energy and be misbehaving.
Well, I've only taken few pictures with a few people such as Hitler, George W. Bush, Donald Trump.
As a bad guy like you are.
You know, I really don't ask for pictures. I've asked those guys for pictures. I've asked Tupac Shakur. I've asked Biggie, Notorious B.I.G. Michael Jackson and the likes. You know, those are the people that, I could ask for pictures with because I'm a star myself, talking about
now
the star.
We do, baby.
Yeah, talking about the star man. I'm not a star boy. You feel me? You know what I mean?
Level to these things, please.
Yeah, so, but at the end of the day, let's focus on Tiwa.
Let's focus on the focus.
On Tiwa now. Let's bring it back home. Now, it's about Tiwa Savage. Is our career really struggling? Because this Motolani babe, right? Guy, sorry. Motolani, yeah, okay. So Motolani guy is, he has, what's it called? Series of theories. Conspiracy theories that he feels that are fact, that he feels like. But I see it like some of these things could just be happening, and then she didn't see it that way. Obviously, after the OT Bills thing, a lot of brands left Tiwa Savage. So there is no doubt about it that old T-bills thing affected her brand, because that was when things changed. That was when she felt she had to rebrand. That was when she had always exposed her body more, but then she was even a mother, with a estranged husband and all of that, showing off her body with a whiskey tapping and all that, you know. So there was a lot of controversies around it, but could that have been a healing process? People heal differently. Do you understand? Could that have been a way of growing and warming up back into people's hearts? Because a lot of people saw what's it called now, T-bills, as the guy who was betrayed, as a guy who was hurt, as a guy who managed a superstar and was dumped, and then you came out to grant an interview and leaked the secret, spoke about so many things that the third party shouldn't know about. Do you understand? So a lot of people saw that. So could that have been a healing? She was backlashed a lot. A lot of women didn't like her anymore at that period. I know this for a fact because I know some women in my life that stopped listening to Tiwa Savage.
Because her husband had a drug problem.
That, no, not just that. No.
Because of the whiskey thing.
No, not okay. All of it together. Okay. The husband story, her exposing her body, being on whiskey.
Because from what I remember, her husband's story, everybody took her side until she made that video with her head, herself in a scarf, and it felt like it was dramatized. That was not about the marriage and the failure, but it was about what they felt was like a performance. And then Wizkid's thing, when she became a video vixen for somebody.
Apart from that, and the publicity stunt when she's on stage with Wizkid and is, grabbing and all
That's why
that.
I'm very surprised that you mentioned conspiracy theory in the beginning of it, because I don't think Omotola
I said he had some theories, or should I say conspiracy theories? But what I'm saying conspiracy theory, because some people may want to say, oh no, it's not true, because he said some things that I felt like, okay, this person could honestly have thought this is the best move for me. Like you're
yes, which is what he's saying, and he's saying that because you chose that, I think it's that he is criticizing her.
But we also know how hard women have to work to succeed in this industry. We know how hard women have to prove themselves times and open to stay relevant. You know how hard it is to be independent. When
this conversation isn't about how hard work. This conversation is basically
from what it should be, in my opinion. Is Tiwa working hard enough?
He's criticizing her album, not her efforts and what she does for a living and how she's overcoming her issues. Everybody does that. I don't think we need to glorify Tiwa Savage for doing life.
It's a particular word
for me, this is not a big deal. He's making reference to Celia's album and her response to criticism. That's what this is really about. He started off comparing her with what's it called, Jay-Z, and that Jay-Z, who is even a big deal, he got criticized and he just did the whole shrug like, okay, well, that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But Tiwa Savage would cry. And then she would do the Mongo packing thing, which I think he actually termed that word, which I found was actually brilliant. No cap. But he termed that word basically saying that when Tiwa Savage sees that the local people, the Nigerians who understand her music, say, we didn't really like this one. Should not go and find a foreign person that barely knows anything about Afrobeat, and then I'll say, you see, they like me. That's why, and it's people that don't like me, and they should not do the whole prophet thing. That's what he's saying.
I'm going to agree with that, because at the end of the day, this guy gave examples of when Burna Boy's Twice As Tall was nominated for Best R&B
a category that does not apply to you.
Do you understand?
Yes, they called her a rapper. They called
they've called
an MC.
Do you understand? They've called it a lot of artists different genres that do a different genre. They put them in the category of another genre.
They don't understand
so
African
they don't even
music.
understand it. So I'm totally going to agree with that, but I don't think that's applicable to just Tiwa Savage. I think a lot of our celebrities take validation.
Is about Tiwa Savage.
And
I know. Response to that. So it would be unfair to now say that we should make this thing broader into that category, because not a lot of people do what Tiwa Savage does. And I mentioned this thing yesterday as well. I said I wish Elsie was on the table, because the reason why I keep mentioning Elsie is that she saw it first. I remember I used to think, what's your issue with Tiwa Savage? And Elsie will always say, I just feel like she's always emphasizing on the negative. There was one time it was women, which we talked about yesterday already. One time it was women, that women don't support her. I'm like, are you kidding? Yes, we do. So he has a point. To me, this guy said nothing wrong. There was no conspiracy theory in that thing. The problem I have with Motolani is how he said it. You don't need to rub somebody's name into the dust, into the mud.
She didn't rub
to
the
prove,
name, but she rubbed the person.
to be honest with you, if you're gonna ask me who jabbed who more, I would still
Tolani.
say that Tolani finished
Tiwa
Tiwa Savage.
yes.
It's too easy for you to use money and use it to bash a journalist. He's not trying to compare money with you. He's never said that he was rich. He's a journalist and he killed it
Like
with
he
his
took
words.
his time to
Exactly.
start
And he searched
I think
and he
he's been
researched.
writing this. He was
Yeah, like,
waiting
yeah,
for
facts.
her
And
to...
that's the
But
only thing
yeah,
I
it
know
was
that
big
Tiwa
in it.
Savage said, that when she said you're a fan, I'm like, I have to agree because this
Yeah, you
thing
have to
was
be a fan to know all of
like
this.
you took your time. You have, and he's been researching about her before today. Like he brought up memories about things that like we have all forgotten. My guy brought it back to prove his point. He killed it. But then you start using words like piggery. That her image is, that's an insult. Like
That looks as if
it's
you have
not
a
a
beef with
compliment.
her.
Yes.
Yes.
And then when he was trying to allude to the fact that foreigners don't understand Afro music, he said when he said something like, oh, they categorize her as rapper, and there's nothing about her that's a rapper except from the tattoo on her sleeve. Like come on now.
Yes,
And then
yes,
you
yes.
brought
You're
in
making
her
it
husband
personal.
as well. He kept emphasizing on her age. You can say her music was bad without putting her age there. So in a 39-year-old woman, like
have a
calm
good
down.
story.
How does our age even enter this
Do
conversation?
you understand?
Yes,
Like
yes.
it's not necessary. But was he speaking facts? I think he was. I think the album was not good. I already mentioned this to you people. You said
Yeah,
you
I
like the
don't
song.
agree, yes.
Me, I didn't. I just
Can
felt.
I feel like a album,
can I
like a
recommend a
comeback,
song on the
like
album?
showing people that she's not, she can be diverse with music.
Can I recommend
she
a
can
song on
create
the
a
album?
new sound. That's
Because
nice.
you know the whole Celia thing. You said your mom and all of. I don't know. That thing confused me. It was marketed in a way that didn't really align. It's like a good example would be Burna Boy. Like the way he marketed that song. He marketed first of all, he marketed that song to everybody. Like he kept trying. Even Made in Lagos, I think, did the same thing too. Like even the features. I'm not talking about Nigeria or guys. He was already screaming it from day one with the features. When you start to get features from people abroad, you're saying, okay, it's a foreign vibe and all of that. So we're prepared for something, you know, different. Tiwa Savage was doing my mother, Celia, I am Celia, I am Celia.
Yes,
and then we
that's-
get on the
yes.
song and you're talking about senators.
Like the theme of the album does not match with the songs. Yes, yes.
I look
that's
on this
one thing I
live
just agree
to
with.
suffer.
Like,
How does that deal with paying reference to your mom? Yes.
I didn't get it.
I think that's the only point I would agree with you right now. Like the message does not match the songs, but the album was nice. It was amazing.
Let me recommend a song on the album. Maybe we'll change your mind. Silly song.
Lord. Okay.
It's a good song, guys.
I'll listen to that song on this break. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is Plus Politics on Plus TV Africa.
There were a lot of men, but they chose me.
Parties in Nigeria, they're simply platforms of convenience for people to go and aspire for power.
If you were not awarded a contract, then why are you coming here that you are aware?
Let me explain. No, it's okay. Some people have also accused you of talking too much.
Even if I say things, people like Obasanjo should tell us, don't say that. Not that Obasanjo will be saying, and with results that will be carrying cake to go and say, Obasanjo, stop that.
If you have your family issues, you don't discuss them in the marketplace.
Those who will take over governance after the exit of the military will be mindful of the economic deprivation of our people.
Will the cost of governance ever be reduced?
Census good, but timing has to be right.
The people who are getting the palliative right now may be the wrong people because we do not have data.
Plus Politics, 7 p.m. Mondays to Fridays on Plus TV Africa.
Hello and welcome back. This is still tea time. We have another story about another female Nigerian artist who is being dragged. Seems like we cannot get this thing right. Anyway, Nollywood actress Lillian Afegbai has replied people who accused her of sleeping around to buy a Birkin bag. This Birkin bag costs $22,000, which is an estimate of 8 million naira, depending on what exchange rate you're using. It was reported that the actress took to Instagram and showed off the Birkin bag she bought for her birthday, which didn't arrive on time. However, her show off did not seem to go down well with some people, as they took to her comment section and alleged she bought the bag by doing the needful. One follower accused her of sleeping around to make money, and her response to that was stating that there are other legit ways of making money besides sleeping around. Another one accused her that, putting her bag and showing it off is putting a lot of women under pressure. And then she also replied to that person saying no one needs to be pressured as everyone needs to move at their own pace. This is her comment to the show-off post. I remember when I could only afford a Zara bag. She says, I would never quit my acting career for any man. And then she took to Instagram and got dragged for her mom's involvement. She's just been basically, yes. And then she said, this year isn't one of my best, but that she still celebrates her 29th birthday. So,
can people stop stereotyping women at times?
Mm.
Like, can she do something to afford the bag? Why must she sleep around before she can afford the bag? Can we stop using this backward mentality?
And I know quite a few people who unfortunately sleep around. It's not that easy. This thing of
I know, but can she find other legit ways to get this bag for herself?
Even if she slept around it, that sleeping around money would not be more than 5% of this actual.
How many men do you want to go?
Do you understand?
True.
She's not gonna have time to act. She's gonna have to do it like she has to even do night job and stand on the road and make it a full time for you to be able to buy a Birkin bag off that. And I like that. Okay, all seriousness, I like that you brought that up because for me it's a perception thing. When a man does such a lavish thing, you still see it. Yes, I have to admit that there's still a lot of people that automatically think you are doing fraud. Fraud and prostitution is like on the flip sides of one coin, but it's not as much. And when he says, no, I do business, everyone quickly believes. But when it comes to women, I think the amount of people who assume what you just mentioned, that like, more you couldn't have had in the brains, the mind, or the hustle to legitimately get your money is a lot more. And even when the person proves, okay, this is what I do. This is what I do, and this is what I do. And so that's like, you still sleep around. We've seen that a lot of times. I don't want to mention any names, but we've seen that with a lot of celebrities who have come into the news for either showing off a luxurious asset that they've acquired, and the same response is there. But I like how she's responded to that, to be honest. I like how she's handled it. A Birkin bag, though.
For 8 million.
Because you know what for me is the bigger gist is the fact that she was able to qualify to get a Birkin bag. So if you know anything about Birkin bags, it's not just anybody who has money that can go and buy a Birkin bag. You have to actually be on a list. I've forgotten what they call it now. It's not a white list. There's a name for it. It's quite funny. Something list, and then you have to wait to be approved to be on their kind of like the clientele. Yes, it's a serious matter for a bag. Like that, I cannot sleep inside. But anyway, you have to join that list and all of that to then be able to purchase a Birkin bag. To me, the brag isn't that she got a bag that's 8 million. The brag is that she was even qualified to be on a Birkin, clientele list. For me, that was like the big deal. And I don't know what she does. I have never watched a single thing of this girl. I only started to notice her when I was working in the in the entertainment industry, and she came for one of the premieres that I was working on like last year. That was the first time in my life, and I saw that she was extremely stunning. Like, this is one of those babes that's not just stunning on pictures. Like, if you see her body is standing out, her face, and she also has a really, really warm personality. That's when I knew who she was. Till tomorrow, I've not seen her movie anywhere. I don't know what she does for a living. I know she acts, but I don't know what else she does. But if she says she hustles, then she hustles. Innit?
Like Eniolo started with, it's not okay to stereotype women when it comes to things they can afford. Because if it was a man who was showing off his wristwatch that he got it for $1 million or something, no one is going to say, oh, you slept with so-so women for this. No one is going to throwing that in the first place. So what is this? Where is it coming from? I think a lot of men that think that way are still kind of backward, and it also shows the type of women they have in their lives. They don't have a lot of successful women around them. Because if you've seen successful women that have worked for theirs, you would not see another woman and say she went to sleep to get what she got. Do you understand? So it also says the type of people you have around me. I've seen way too many successful women that have sleepless nights, that work their behinds off just to be where they are today. So I won't go out there and see a woman. I can even remember there was a time when Ewa was still on the show, and we were coming to work together, and then we saw this we saw this G-Wagon, and then I saw this chick, and I was like, man, that is either she's married to a rich guy, or she has a good business going on. And Ewa looked at me like, oh, nice. That she likes the fact that I said that, but why she has to be right? I could have just stuck to the, is it that she has a good business going on? Do you understand that? I shouldn't have even brought the first one up. And I took it back. And when I came on the show, I felt very corrected. Like, wow, I shouldn't have even thought about her husband first. I think the first thing I should have thought of first was like, oh, I think she has a very good business, you know? But the thing is, I never thought about her sleeping around. Even if I thought of anything, it was her husband. Do you get what I mean? So I think a lot of men need to upgrade.
Okay, do you think it's like an African thing?
No, it's all over the world.
It is.
Because in Africa, if you get an apartment and you're not married, and yes, they'll say, okay, she's sleeping around. She has sugar daddy. Yes, you can't rent my apartment unless you're married. And it shouldn't be that way. If you're successful, I can be celebrated as a woman.
The security guard has been trying to find my husband since. So every time if guests come, say your husband, I'm like, which one?
Which one?
Where I don't have. Then another one. Oh, your husband.
How many men come to your house? That your security is looking for your husband.
I have friends now, and most of my friends are even guys, even. But once you see somebody that maybe looks nice or dresses, I don't know, they just quickly want to attach me. I think he cannot fathom the idea that I'm responsible for myself and that I'm responsible for my funds. So there must be an oga on top. That is definitely just Africa. You don't see that outside.
Africa?
Oh yes. Nobody cares if a young girl abroad rents a house, drives a car.
No, that one is
women.
Nobody cares about that one.
We're talking about
actually make this
being able to
women
afford
like
certain
ourselves.
things. It's global. Being able to afford certain things, it's global.
Yeah, but if there is still, I still think there's
a limit to it.
There's an extent, and Africans are leading that, extremity,
And the other part of the conversation that said she's using the bag to intimidate other women. What do you think about that? She's using the bag to intimidate other women.
It is
pressure.
Pressure, yes.
I think we've always said it on this table that, look, you need to stay off social media. It's not for the faint-hearted. You get me? Yeah, if you feel like you're going to be, even at that one, I've always said it. I drive the worst car amongst all my friends. Do you understand?
Wow.
Yeah. Most of my friends drive very nice, but I'm not pressured. It doesn't mean I will not drive to your house the next weekend and chill with you.
At least
it doesn't mean
you're not on Okada to go and visit your friends. There's also that one. So I feel like one thing.
Count your blessings.
Yes, absolutely. Because believe it or not, there's women on this social media doing the same accent that she's doing that have 4 or 5 Birkin bags and nobody has heard anything.
How many does Cardi B have?
But at the same time, I'm very much allowed to front and flaunt about anything that I choose. We've had this conversation a lot of the times, even with relationships, that should we put our boyfriends or our fiancés or our husbands or our children's faces? And then some people would say, never, ever, ever, it's just for my business. I don't want my personal life to be involved. While some people, that is all social media is for, to share their personal life. So I think she can share what she wants to share. It's up to the woman to decide. Face your front, or if you cannot afford the Birkin bag, God will do it for you. Try harder. But that's why I said.
Straight bone.
Exactly. I really like the way she responded. I don't know because she has more responses that we haven't even touched on. Even when they said something about all these women that are sleeping around, blah blah blah. She said let them continue to do what they want to do. And I think I respect that. Like as long as everyone is doing the one that makes them comfortable, it's one life. You own it. Nobody else. If she wants to use her money to like for all you know, this person could have the 8 million naira that she's on her back could be 1% of her account, and the 8 million naira could be that she's left with 200K now. Only God knows. But either way, she's a grown woman. She decided to buy the bag, and she's proud of herself with that, and she wants to celebrate herself with that. There's nothing. There's nothing big about
I
that.
saw someone asking, where do you have your house? Where do your parents live? Where do you know? I saw that in the comment section, and I'm like, okay.
What do you think about that, Ife? Do you think that your entire life, family relations should be comfortable before you spend a dime on yourself?
Well, not family. I think your future should be guaranteed before you spend it relevantly on yourself. Now, a bag, you're not, like you said, you can't leave, you can't sleep in the bag. So if you're still renting an apartment, and she has an 8 million naira bag, says you're not smart.
I feel you. Okay. That's a point. All right, let's move on to the next conversation. Nigerian rapper Ilbiz has been made to feel the heat after his comment on Burna Boy's greatness, and it did not go down well with some people. The rapper, whose real name is Tobe Chukwu Melvin AGO4, had tweeted in favor of the two-time Grammy-nominated artist Burna Boy. He wrote, and I quote, 2 Grammy nods in 2 years. Are we finally settled on who the greatest is? Question mark. Big congratulations to my bro at Burna Boy. You are beyond a spaceship. Your craft is second to none. Go under this post to drag him. Going under the post, you can see that he was dragged for his opinion. A few Twitter users reminded the music entrepreneur, come actor, that the Grammy does not necessarily confirm greatness of an artist. The rapper, however, stuck to his guns and replied, your business and opinion, totally. Still the most recognized music trophy in the world. And just to add in there that the comments that the person made for him to respond to that was him using what's it called, Tupac. That Tupac is referred to as the greatest rapper in in the world, but he doesn't have 1 Grammy. So you having Grammys does not mean, that's what this Twitter user is trying to allude to, that you then having a Grammy award does not mean that you are the greatest rapper. But he's still saying, I said what I said. Basically.
Well, I think a lot of people are blinded by their hate for a certain individual, that they forget that there's certain achievements that shows your success in a certain industry. Now, for instance, if I win certain prizes, right, or certain awards, I begin to know that I've gotten to a certain level in media. By the time a singer starts to win let's say by the time an actor or an actress starts to win the Oscars, they biggest musical award twice in a row, it means it's doing something right. So can we just stick to the fact that, but you didn't know what greatest though? Oh wow.
I'm glad you said this, Power, because I was coming for you.
Yeah. Do we use now? This choice of word is what made this whole post very, very funny and made these people come for him. Like calling him the greatest. Are we now settled? Like anyone was arguing with him
say
before.
one of the greatest.
Do you get
And does Grammy make you the greatest? It's what the people are saying.
I know. Does Grammy win? If you say Burna Boy won last year, winning this year, you get not the greatest. Nothing you want to tell me. It's the next thing after
like that
you
mentioned in the beginning of your conversation, which I completely agree to, that these awards show that it makes a person feel like I'm being recognized for my effort.
Yeah.
I think that's where it stops. I think that's what all the awards do. They recognize greatness. They don't identify and crown greatness. Sure. Because just because you haven't identified me does not mean that I'm not the greatest.
And what we talked about on Monday of them not picking
better singers
A.D. and The Weeknd doesn't mean The Weeknd is not great.
Do you know how many people, like I have a friend, he's on, I'll give you a shout out. His name is Iko. His guy is very good at finding, he uses SoundCloud. He will find the most random artists that have fire songs. And there's heaps of them. There's a whole world, they call it the underground or whatever, there's a term for them. Underground people who are doing their thing, steady giving you back-to-back, so like rich music, and they have no noise, no streams, no social media presence, no award, none of that.
So what
that
does
does
he do
not
with
mean
finding
that
them?
he puts them on social media and we vibe to them. There's a few of them. I've brought one person to the show. That's how I met him, actually. Okay. You know the person I'm talking about that performed here from Abuja, Junior Ranking. Yes. That guy was. I still jump to his music today. I would say his song. Let me not even cap now because I really love Davido. I'll say all his songs. That guy's songs are still better than Davido's. I would still choose that song, but nobody knows who he is. So for me, and that's why I like the response to the Twitter user that said, Tupac, let's even leave Davido and Ranking and all the little people in Nigeria and Burna Boy. Tupac is unarguably, nobody can argue on this table that Tupac ain't it. True. He was a legend. He started something that nobody else has been able to even finish. And he's never won one Grammy. Are you going to take away from that fact? So my problem is how this conversation is even brought into play. If you are going to talk about Burna Boy's greatness, which we should, because I think he is great, it is not Grammy. They're going to use that fight, which is where I would criticize what's his name, Lil.
But he is the greatest when it comes to nominations.
You say that.
And not saying like he's the greatest artist.
Because I think Wizkid is more decorated when it comes to wins than Davido and Burna Boy combined. But in terms of nominations, Burna Boy is leading because Wizkid has gotten Grammy nomination, but not for his body of work. This guy has gotten it for his own original body of work.
I mean, even
twice.
This year's category is
like they are the greatest, they are the best. Ill Bliss is an artist. He's been in the industry for a while. He did not come out to say that after me, Burna Boy is the greatest. Do you understand? Some other person would have capped it that way. Do you understand? But he didn't do that. So I just think it's a thing of real recognition, and I really admire that about him. That look, the sky is big enough for everyone to fly. So everybody so you can still come out to celebrate other people and not be scared that you are going to look like you're not working. Because if we want to look at it, I can be like, what's the last you believe? Container don't land you. That's the last song that we just felt like, and I know he has recent body of work.
True. I don't know. I just felt like his write-up was a bit too, a bit of an ass.
His choice of words. His choice of words were wrong. His choice of words were wrong. But was he trying to make sense? Yes, he was. But did it make sense? No, he didn't.
Please, Burna Boy, give it.
And we do agree that
please
Burna Boy
acknowledge the man because he's
just going to shout.
Anyway,
Container don't land, Burna Boy, you.
It is no secret that Thanksgiving this year in America, obviously we don't do Thanksgiving in Nigeria. This year was different because of coronavirus. Whether you enjoyed the family festive virtually or had a small gathering with people you already live with or cooked a small feast for one, the general consensus from the CDC was to keep things tight this year and limit interactions with people who aren't from your immediate household. Looks like Cardi B missed the memo because she hosted nearly 40 people. We cannot admit that that's a crowd. And this was, at her place in a blatant disregard for health guidelines. On Twitter last night, Cardi B wrote that she had 12 kids and 25 adults over the holiday. It was lit. Naturally, this upset a lot of followers who didn't have the luxury of spending time with their loved ones this year in the interest of being safe and slowly spreading the virus. Under her post, one user wrote, bragging about your large gathering during a pandemic to your millions of impressionable fans who do not have the money that you have to get rapid tests is irresponsible. Shortly after, other follows suit. Just before I even let anyone so because we're running out of time, so everyone just say what they want to say quickly and then we wrap up. I think it's okay to understand that this life is in no balance. Fingers are not equal. It's like catching feelings of other people's privileges. We're all natural. I mean, it's a natural thing. We're all humans. And I'm not going to lie and sit and say, I've never done it before. But I like to catch myself and not go and tweet and embarrass myself. There's some people that have not worked a day in their lives and they have everything that I'm struggling to achieve. If this babe has enough money to get all her family members, her own family members, not a concert, her family members, to then, get them tested. She says she even got them tested more than once or twice in a week.
She spent a lot of money.
Spent a lot of money to make sure that things were safe. Yes, it was a brag or whatever, but she's allowed to do that. She's not working, shaking her bum bum, doing WAP up and down, so that she'll still be poor. My baby's trying to hustle, and if her hustle is showing up, and she wants to share that beautiful time of the year with her family, I think she can do so. And which is why I liked the response, because she was apologizing. And after a while, she just stopped and she was like, you know what? It seems like everyone's just going to catch feelings for whatever they want to catch feelings for. I'll do what I want to do. So I'm with her on this one. Yeah. Your thoughts?
I don't even know where to start with this one. Fine. it's kind of insensitive to some people that they can't.
One, this person still went a step further to make sure that everyone was safe. And the fact that I decide to share my good time with my people on social media, as long as they are good, then we're all good.
Yeah. I mean, responsibility and insensitivity, I think, is also like the summary of this. Was she responsible? Yes. Can you argue that she was insensitive? I guess so. But that's the consequences of being a celebrity. Everyone is going to expect more from you. And I think every celebrity knows that. So however you want to handle it.
Celebrity is not your dad, you.
However you want to handle it as a celebrity, however you want to have your brand. If you want to be sensitive to the whole world, go ahead. If you want to have your family gathering, do so. But that is all that we can take for today's conversation. But thank you so much for watching. Join the conversation on social media with the hashtag #TeaTime or tweet at us at Plus TV Africa. Remember that you can catch up on our previous episodes, including this one and all our exclusive content, by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. You can also watch Tea Time on Arte TV and in London on Pen Television. A big thank you will go out to my gang, Ifalo Oshike, and Eniola Baby, and the entire production team. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Ife Omai. Adios.
Just when things were looking up, everything shut down. Again, the first lockdown was a nice chance to take a bit of a break for us lucky ones. And if you managed to remain untouched by the virus, fix a few things around the house, read lots of books, learn to bake bread. But it did drag on. And now, partly because some people let their guard down a little, a lot of us are back in lockdown. The thrill of life in the big city is dwindling. In fact, urban life in general is changing in a big way. Is COVID-19 redefining cities as we know them? Well, besides getting people to accept that masks, good hygiene and social distancing do actually help in preventing the spread of diseases like COVID, there's just one thing I'd like to ask my workmates, friends, family and everyone else out there. Let's make this work. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to change our working world for the better. Lots of us probably never thought we could do our jobs from home. What a great opportunity to free up more time instead of commuting, be more creative and productive. It can take a lot of discipline, though, not to get into lazy habits. This is a totally new way of working. And there's also a lot more that could change besides.
Will life ever return to normal? Cities teeming with traffic? People moving freely with no fear of COVID-19? How will this pandemic shape the future of our cities? Since the coronavirus outbreak, up to 40% of people have been working remotely.
It's an opportunity for us to rethink, how we live our lives. What does that mean for our commute? What does that mean for the nature of the office space? Because if people are going back to the office part of the time, that means other coworkers are not in the office when you're in the office.
It's not just the world of work that's changed. Transport habits have too.
I do worry a lot that the mobility that occurs is likely to come in by single occupant vehicle. That in fact, if people are anxious about being in public transportation, and that will make traffic congestion actually worse.
The increase in automation far predates the pandemic. But some researchers say the pace of change is picking up speed. And that's not all. As remote working develops, jobs are increasingly likely to get outsourced.
The technological,
much more local scale.
Poor world megacities are likely to continue to grow, at least unless things become really absolutely horrific. I mean, remember that as terrible as COVID-19 is, the death rates so far are far less than they were, say, during the cholera pandemics of the 19th century. And despite those cholera pandemics, the cities like, Berlin or Paris or London continued to grow, even though these cities were killing fields.
So big cities aren't disappearing anytime soon. But COVID-19 is already leaving its mark on urban landscapes.
Some cities like Berlin feel like they've turned into ghost towns. And it's pretty much the same feeling for the commercial real estate sector. Business is disappearing. The amount of floor space for shops and offices that are being rented or sold is in free fall. When you compare the third quarter with the same period last year, you'll see the trend is the same across Germany's main centres. A lot of companies are either putting off decisions to rent or buy space, or they're downsizing. Forecasters see the trend gathering speed, but Berlin's construction boom continues.
We're closing down. Everything must go. Signs like these are a common sight nowadays in Berlin. Businesses are shuttered across the city, many for good, because of coronavirus restrictions. According to a survey by Britain's Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, industry insiders expect commercial property values and rents to decline worldwide because of the pandemic. But there are some exceptions.
The entire non-food retail sector has been hit hard, but local delivery firms are booming, as are companies that store. As people order more and more online.
Large-scale projects, even entire districts are being built. How can that be? The comp up in and around the typical for high-end downtown apartments. Because of the pandemic, the developers have yet to start marketing the commercial spaces, but the apartments are selling like hotcakes.
We were a little concerned about the impact of the pandemic on the market, but we found that it's made no real difference except for a minor delay. We're seeing a heightened interest in buying property.
Low interest rates worldwide mean investing in bonds is a losing game. Vast amounts of money have been pouring into real estate. But how long are things likely to stay that way? I asked the head of a company that markets condominiums.
This phase of constantly rising prices is drawing to a close. That's entirely normal. It can't go on forever. In certain
shops and restaurants and excess office spaces. It'll be quite a challenge to find future uses for these empty premises.
Well, cities have been on an explosive growth trajectory over the past centuries. But take a good look at the result in so many cases. Ugly, crowded, full of concrete, void of green, traffic gridlock, bad air, hotter temperatures, the sun bouncing off all that cement. Have cities had their day? Or could they be doing their bit to fight climate change? I think they could be.
The city, obsolete or the solution to climate change? Jericho is the oldest continuously inhabited city in the world. It was established 11,000 years ago. The city's location near a river and its mild climate made it attractive because it meant the land could be farmed all year round. Many cities developed around trade routes, often by rivers. The German city of Frankfurt is an example. Others, like Tokyo, grew around palaces. Now home to 38 million people, it's the biggest urban area in the world. Big cities are often associated with air and noise pollution, as well as rising rents. Despite that, cities continue to draw more and more people. Advantages include access to medical care, jobs, and educational institutions. Half of the world's population currently resides in cities. By 2050, it's expected to be 2/3. But something has to change. In the Austrian capital Vienna, city planners have decided not to build parking spaces in a new area of town. They want to discourage car use. With new housing constantly being built, there's no shortage of accommodation. The average rent, at €5 per meter squared, is pretty low. More green spaces are cropping up, and public transport is constantly being expanded too. It costs just €1 to use the city's transit system for a day. That's led to record numbers of passengers. Vienna has been ranked the most livable city in the world, but during the pandemic, the number of passengers on public transport fell by 50% as people returned to their cars, something city planners couldn't have foreseen.
I've read about a lot of people deserting big urban centres for the suburbs or for the serenity of the countryside. Sounds enticing. I don't know if I could give up Berlin, though. Actually, a mate of mine is thinking about doing just that, and so are others.
The coronavirus pandemic is causing city life to lose its appeal. Berlin, for example, has a population density of over 4.
Aggression in the air. If you're out on your bike, for example, you constantly have these little disputes with people.
You notice it more now?
I've wanted to move away for a long time, but I was always too busy in the city, and the countryside seemed so far away.
This pandemic has made it clear to us where we stand and where we live, the kind of apartment we have, the kind of neighborhood we live in. It's all been amplified now. And that sense of being hemmed in by city life has driven us out into the countryside to find freedom.
Little Jonas has long enjoyed that freedom. His family moved to a village outside Berlin 3 years ago. Rents in the city have soared over the past 10 years. That's forced many young families to move away, to places where housing is more affordable.
Wie ein Flugzeug, so hoch.
Everything we could afford in Berlin was too small. We could have had a small house, the same size as our apartment, but why bother? We thought we'd rather be further away but have more space.
But the distance from the city is a problem. It takes Annika Lessing an hour and a half to get to work. And there's no daycare here either.
There are no amenities within walking distance, no bakery or supermarket. You need the car for everything.
But they still don't regret their decision to leave the city.
The quiet here definitely has a calming effect. Just to sit outside and breathe in the fresh air or bask in the sun.
Berlin has also become noticeably quieter. As a media artist, Florian Thalhofer can work anywhere. But Elisabeth Thalhofer is an alternative health practitioner and has to go to her office in town. Except that during the pandemic, many patients are staying away. The couple felt it was time to make some decisions.
It's something we've been wanting to do for a long time. The pandemic just gave us the impetus. After staring at the wall for months, we went out into the countryside to look around and choose a house.
They got the keys in July. And since then, they've spent half their time here, a 2-hour drive from Berlin.
We love it here. I don't know if that will still be the case in 5 years' time. Maybe we'll find it annoying to have to drive out of the city, but right now, it's just great.
Looks nice. But it's actually not all that easy to just abandon the city in the middle of a lockdown. And it must be really tricky for all those digital nomads who have no one set workplace, but like to flip open their laptop in far-off places, be it high up in the Alps or out on the endless plains of Africa. It must be hard right now with travel being so restricted, but it's not a bad business model.
Don't tell the boss you went, and see what it's like. But when I was on the road, every day, you never knew what was going to happen. Having an office job before, you knew what next week was going to bring. You knew the commute, you knew what day you're going to take lunch and where you're going to go and the commute home. And there was a lot of routine. The 5 steps to really becoming a digital nomad. Step 1, make sure that your job is fully remote. Step 2, understanding that you need to move slowly. Step 3 is to look for places that have lots of Wi-Fi. Step 4 is to really look for places that have a good community of entrepreneurs. Step 5, have a place that's sort of easy to live in. One thing COVID has done is sped up the timeline of people moving remotely, companies being okay with, people working from home. And so, if you live in, say, New York City, and it's really expensive to live there, and you don't have to go in the office, why not move to a cheaper city? Why not go to a beach? Why not go into the mountains? Right now, as I look outside my apartment, I see a parking lot. I'd rather see a beach. You have to balance work and play. And it's a lot harder to do when you're in a place that you constantly want to play. The faster you move, the harder it is to find that balance. And invariably one suffers. Moving slowly is the key to balance your day as well as just being mentally stable and not exhausted all the time. I stupidly once lost a contest and then went sailing thinking I could just have like a tethered phone, and that was not the case. Been, traveling around Africa where there's just for weeks no Wi-Fi. You really just want to make sure that wherever you're going, there's great connectivity. a quick Google search can usually tell you, people who have been there before, if it's good or bad. One of the greatest things about working remotely is that a lot of other people do it. And so you can usually find a lot of communities around the world of other digital nomads and entrepreneurs who are doing fun and exciting creative work online. You can usually find them on Facebook or through a co-working space. And you kind of get friends, instant friends. It's all like fun and games and amazing until, it's 95 and the cafe you've come to doesn't have air conditioning and there's flies everywhere. And so I look for places that, are easy to get to, have a lot of various activities, good public transportation, good Wi-Fi. I think everyone should just go do this, especially now in an age of Zooms and, no one going to the office. Take a break. Try it out for 4 days somewhere close by. See what it's like.
I might just do that. And a beach, that'd be nice to look at, but we don't have windows in this studio, do we? In the meantime, it's human contact so many of us are craving. A city doesn't have to be full for me, but it can be fun when the streets are buzzing with activity and lots of tourists are in town. I know my colleague Olaf Krieger misses it. He's been using all that time on his hands to address his own pandemic-induced anxieties and pondering over whether dinosaurs could make a comeback.
Hey, where is everybody?
In the home office?
Working from home? Of course. Come on out.
Der Krieger ist da.
Krieger is here. Erinnern Sie sich Remember the good old days. Berlin was packed with tourists. Everyone wanted to come here, and they still do. We've gone into hiding to protect ourselves and others, and rightly so. So what do you do all day, buddy? It's kinda dead here now. You used to be in all the pictures. Imagine our cities deserted as people flee for the countryside. Berlin reclaimed by nature, its buildings covered in ivy, deer prancing around the Brandenburg Gate. Maybe even the dinosaurs will return.
Takes one to know one. Only joking, I love Olaf. And the rest of my team here at DW. I'm sure I'd miss them if I had to work at home all the time. Thanks for joining us for another look at the changing world of business and how our cities are taking a good hard look in the mirror right now. Let's hope they get greener and smarter. Otherwise, I might just entertain the idea of packing my bags and leaving for somewhere a little more relaxed. Stay healthy, everyone, and while you're all cooped up at home, don't forget to check out our social media. See you next time.
for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Mrs. Ibukun Awosika is a Nigerian business mogul, author and motivational speaker. She was born in Ibadan, capital of Oyo State, and is the third of 7 children. She attended St. Paul's African Church Primary School and Methodist Girls High School, Yaba, and obtained a degree in chemistry from University of Ife. She is an alumni of the Chief Executive Program of Lagos Business School, the Global Executive MBA of IESE Business School, and Global CEO Program of Wharton. Ibukun worked as an audit trainee at Akintola Williams & Co. during her National Youth Service Corps. She moved on and became the founder and CEO of the Chair Place Group in 2004, a conglomerate which encompasses the Chair Center Limited, Sokwa Chair Center Limited, Furniture Manufacturers Mart Limited, and TCC Systems and Services Limited, specializing in the manufacturing, retail, and bankway security system services. Ibukun serves on a number of corporate and non-profit boards, which include Chairman of First Bank Nigeria Limited, Member of the Board of Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund, and former Chairperson Board of Trustees of Women in Management, Business and Public Service. She chairs the board of After School Graduate Development Center. She is a multiple award-winning entrepreneur and the first Nigerian recipient of the prestigious International Women's Entrepreneurial Challenge Award as a nominee of the United States Department of State in 2008. Ibukun is an author of The Girl Entrepreneur and Business His Way. In her leisure, she loves to watch investigative and legal series. She is married to Abiodun Awosika and they are blessed with 3
Hello and thank you for joining us on the news. My name is Felicity Ezewike. Here are some of the stories making the headlines. Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has admitted that the nation needs to review its constitutional means of dealing with security challenges. He said that the government needed to do more on local intelligence and community policing. The Vice President's Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, Laolua Konde, in a statement said Osinbajo spoke while answering questions from reporters on his arrival at Lafia, Nasarawa State for a one-day official visit. Reacting specifically to the recent killing of 43 rice farmers in Borno State, Osinbajo said such an attack could not be prepared for through conventional means. House of Representatives has passed a resolution to invite President Muhammadu Buhari to appear before the House to brief members on the security situation in the country. The decision was taken at Tuesday's plenary during consideration of a motion moved by members from Borno State on the recent massacre of 43 rice farmers in the state by Boko Haram insurgents. No date was announced for the invitation. The debate had earlier turned rowdy after the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, appealed that it would be inappropriate to invite the President to disclose the actions being taken towards handling the security situation in the country. The Speaker described it as counterproductive. Some members of the House were opposed to the Speaker's position, and this turned into a disruptive debate. The House then went into an executive session to resolve the matter. The Nigerian Senate has asked President Muhammadu Buhari to sack the nation's service chiefs immediately over what it describes as their failure to secure Nigerians. This followed a motion by Senator Kazim Shettima on the recent killing of some 40 rice farmers in Borno State by Boko Haram insurgents. The Red Chamber, while also asking the Buhari administration to restructure and remodel the nation's security architecture, demanded a probe into the allegations of corruption and financial leakage leveled against top hierarchy of the military. It further directed the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, NEMA, and NEDC to provide succor and psychological support for the families of the victims, as well as improve the welfare for soldiers at the war front and provide support for the families of fallen soldiers. Professor Mahmood Yakubu has been confirmed by the Nigerian Senate as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for the second and final term of 5 years. His confirmation was sequel to the presentation of the report of the Senate Committee on INEC. Mr. Yakubu was first appointed INEC chairman in November 2015, taking over from Atahiru Jega, who supervised the 2015 general election. Kabiru Gaya, chairman of the committee, said Mr. Mahmood was found suitable for the position with no petition or incriminatory report against him. Still from INEC, this time in Lagos State, the body says it had delivered non-sensitive materials for Saturday's Lagos East Senatorial and Kosofe Constituency 2 House of Assembly by-elections to all the 5 affected councils in the area. INEC spokesman Femi Akinbiyi told journalists on Tuesday in Lagos that the commission would soon receive sensitive materials for the elections. Akinbiyi said that the receipt of the materials would be in the full glare of political parties' representatives, election observers, and the media. Candidates from 12 political parties will be contesting in the Lagos East senatorial by-elections, while 8 candidates will be contesting the Kosofe Constituency 2 Lagos House of Assembly by-elections. The 2 by-elections, slated for December 5, became necessary following the demise of the former occupant, who were members of the APC. We go to Oyo State, where Governor Seyi Makinde has assured residents of Oyo and Osun State of his readiness to reposition the Ladoke Akintola University to fulfill her original mandate. He spoke during a thank-you visit with his team to Governor Gboyega Oyetola for his cooperation on the final resolution and transfer of ownership of the university to Oyo State.
The institution was closed down for several years. And I said to those people that there are several ways to skin a rat. But what is important is we want to get results. We want to get our children back to school. We want to get the university to the point where it can fulfill its original mandate, which is to train graduates that will be impactful in our environment, in our state.
Our own case is unique because we put aside partisan politics and look at it critically. Perhaps because our background is actually private sector driven. You must look at the problems and provide solutions. You don't keep on thinking it will disappear, it will not. So we just believe that the best thing is in the interest of all of us. Let Oyo have ownership in a manner that will not affect the chances of our students. I mean, he said it, that the students of Oyo and Osun will enjoy the status of owner state.
The Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, has advised motorists to desist from offering bribes to officers when offences are committed. The FRSC Zonal Commanding Office, RS8, Victor Wokolo, at the launch of the Ember Months campaign in Ado-Ekiti, the Ekiti state capital, assured road users that men of the Corps are also being trained and warned against such acts. Also speaking at the program, the state sector commander and special marshal coordinator warned drivers on the issues of alcoholism, overloading and compliance with COVID-19 protocols.
This is the key to be in line with the environment. This is the key, because we also saw some things after taking a stock of what happened during the NSAS. We also came to the conclusion that an extortion-free operation is what will endear you to the heart of the environment, the people in the environment. Their temperament, they need to work on, okay? These are all, it's a whole gamut of things that I've done to ensure that the patrol operatives in this my zone, Ekiti inclusive, they just do the work as they have been trained to do it.
Today's program has offered us the opportunity to engage in and interface with stakeholders in road traffic matters as a means of achieving safer roads, fuller lives on our roads, and especially within Ekiti State.
We have less road crashes in Ekiti State, according to the statistics being recorded at the Federal Road Safety Headquarters. So that's the reason we try to implore our people to keep it up, to join hands together with us to save more lives on the road.
Very important to keep safe during this period. We go now to other parts of Africa. A music producer for Uganda pop star and incident and would not comment until much later. We go to Algeria, where President Abdelmadjid Tebboune has left a German hospital where he was treated for the coronavirus COVID-19 for over a month and will be back to his country in the coming days. His office said in a statement, the president assures the Algerian people that he is recovering and will return to the homeland in the coming days. In late October, the president was transported to Germany for an in-depth medical examination following doctors' recommendation. Shortly afterwards, he was diagnosed with COVID-19. He has served as the president of Algeria since December 2019. He assumed the post after the resignation of Abdelaziz Bouteflika following months of protests. And outside of Africa, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson urged lawmakers to support his new system of regional coronavirus restrictions on Tuesday, arguing in the face of criticism from his party that the system was needed to keep the virus under control. More than 40% of people in England will be subject to the toughest tier of restrictions on their daily life from Wednesday, when the government shifts to a region-by-region approach for a month of national lockdown with just 1% of the lowest band.
I'm not this afternoon seeking open-ended measures. On the contrary, these regulations come with a sunset clause at the end of February, and at that point, at the end of the 2nd of February, I should say, Mr. Speaker. And at that point, we will have sufficient, at the end of the 2nd of February, we will have sufficient data to assess our position after Christmas. And though I believe these types of restrictions will be needed until the spring, they can only be extended beyond the 2nd of February if this House votes for them, Mr. Speaker.
We go now to France, where President Emmanuel Macron says France should be in a position to embark on a broader COVID-19 vaccination campaign between April and June next year, after initially targeting a much smaller group of people. Macron told a news conference after meeting with a Belgian Prime Minister that a first vaccination campaign starting towards the end of December or in January will be targeted at a smaller segment of the population. He reiterated that vaccinations will not be mandatory under France's strategy, but said it wants as many people as possible to be vaccinated. In business, President Muhammadu Buhari has sent the Finance Bill 2021 to the House of Representatives for consideration and passage. The bill proposes various amendments to existing tax laws and financial regulations in response to the negative impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the economy and the current recession. It was read at the opening of Tuesday's plenary by Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila. President Muhammadu Buhari has asked Nigerians to embrace gas as an alternative to fuel in the country. He made this call during the unveiling of the National Gas Expansion Program and National Autogas Rollout Initiative. He also directed the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources to commence the process of handover of mass transit buses to organized labor as part of the government's pledge to continue providing support that will ease the transportation challenges Nigerians are facing at this time. On his part, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Temipri Silva, said the ministry is focusing on the development of skills, technology, and manpower, as well as growth in the utilization of LPG, CNG, and LNG. He said that the National Gas Expansion Program, which was initiated this year to boost the utilization of gas in the short and medium term, is expected to create 2 million jobs per annum, promote skills acquisition, and enhance technology transfer, in addition to growing the nation's GDP. Up next is our roundup in entertainment and sports. We'll be right back. Singer Rita Ora has issued an apology for partying with 30 people after facing backlash for breaking lockdown laws to celebrate her 30th birthday. According to her, she is deeply sorry for breaking the rules and in turn understood that the action put people at risk and it was serious and inexcusable error of judgment. She further revealed that she feels particularly embarrassed, knowing firsthand how hard people have worked to combat terrible illness and being fully aware of the sacrifices that people and businesses have made to help keep us all safe. Move now to sport. Super Falcons captain Azizat Oshola is one of the 50 nominees for the UEFA Fans Women's Team of the Year for 2020. The list was revealed by Europe's football governing body UEFA on Tuesday. The 26-year-old, who has scored twice in 6 league appearances for Barcelona ladies this season, is the only African shortlisted among the 50 women nominated by UEFA. She is competing with 2 of her Barcelona teammates, PSG, Lyon, Arsenal, Chelsea, Wolfsburg, and Juventus players for one of the striking positions in the Team of the Year. Fans across the continent are expected to select their lineup from the 50 players who have stood out across European competitions and domestic leagues before the deadline of January 6. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making headlines, so please join us again. Thank you for watching.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Post-independent Nigeria was handed the parliamentary system of government by the British colonial masters, the same system of government in Britain at the time of Nigeria's emancipation. In this system of government, the principle of separation of power, especially between the executive and the lawmaking arm, the legislature, is not always obvious.
It's a system whereby
the parliament operates as both a legislative arm, and from among the parliament, you equally have the head of government. What it means is that the prime minister is both a lawmaker and the executive, officer, the chief executive, because whatever is happening in the parliament, he is part of it.
The system developed from the principle of not concentrating too much power in the hands of one man. It's developed from the understanding that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So the need to separate powers and get the people's representative to govern them is an underlying principle that gave rise to the parliamentary system of government.
Scholars are of the opinion that because of the peculiarities of the newborn nation at the time, certain aspects of the system she inherited from her colonial masters and used from 1954 and even after independence were abandoned shortly after the coup in 1966.
The long, run of the implementation of that system, the use of that system in, the governance of Nigeria, beginning from the last couple of years of colonial rule till the first 6 years or 5 years plus of independence, the system was used. The coup truncated not just the use of the parliamentary system of government, but also the First Republic, civilian government. The military came in the wake of the coup and governed Nigeria from that January the 16th, 1966, until October the 1st, 1979. During those years, Nigeria didn't have a civilian rule. Nigeria was governed by different military governments. First, that of Aguiyi Ironsi, and then we had General Gowon, and then in between, we had Murtala Mohammed, and then General Olusegun Obasanjo. It was not the coup, actually, that made us abandon the system, because we still had an opportunity to, continue with the system in 1975, when arrangements were made for a new civilian government to be handed over to for the Second Republic. But the committee that was set up by government to recommend, a system of government for Nigeria for the Second Republic, in their wisdom or unwisdom, recommended the adoption of the American-style presidential system.
The presidential system of government, on the other hand, is a democratic and republican system where the head of government is elected across the country, which is distinct and separate from the legislative arm, who are elected in their constituencies and senatorial districts. Now, having experienced these two systems of government, how do they work for a heterogeneous nation like Nigeria?
As at the time we practiced that system, obviously you had lesser people in government. And in terms of cost, it was more beneficial to the state. In terms of decision, it is more speedy to take decisions. And it is easier to sail through in terms of bills and the rest of it. But coming to the presidential system, in the area of cost, it is enormous, so massive. At the end of the day, looking at the resources with which these two systems are managed and the decisions that emanate from them, I have not seen where the decisions in the presidential system are of a higher quality. So what is the basis of running a system that is so enormous in terms of financial implication, while the quality of delivery is not different from what you find in parliamentary?
Today, Nigeria has more than 90 political parties, and like Dr. Ekere and Professor Aworawo have said, the country runs one of the most expensive presidential system of government, where about just less than 10% of elected and appointed officials corner about 90% of the nation's resources. What needs to give? How can we evolve a more people-centric government 60 years on?
What a president will need to do to emerge, it's so demanding. He has to spend so much money, make so many promises to so many people, try to reconcile conflicting, opinions and interests. In fact, the presidential system is such that by the time you go through all that it takes for you to become president, it is difficult to get a competent and honest person as president, because you have to concede to so many people. The corrupt people who may have money, you need to, reconcile with them and promise them and things like that. And I would say that one of the contradictions of governance in Nigeria has revolved around our adoption of the presidential system of government. The other side to it is the tendency for that system to create, authoritarian individuals. If somebody has a proclivity for being authoritarian and dictatorial, the presidential system encourages that, because almost absolute powers are conferred in the hands of the executive president, unlike the parliamentary system where the man is just a member of parliament, he emanates from parliament, and checks and balances are stronger.
People talk about democracy as if it's a heavenly something, that once it comes, the paradise has arrived. And we try to copy systems that we're not familiar with. When you look at the origin of those who are said to have been the first to practice democracy, the Greeks, the system they practiced is not what is being practiced in the United States. It's not what is being practiced in Britain. They decided to adopt or adapt the system to their own ontological reality. So if we must practice democracy, which we should, I'm not against democracy, but we must practice it in line with our own realities. For them, for the Greeks, it was not about election. What was critical to them was the right to participate in policy making. Now, but when the United States looked at it, considering their reality in terms of population and all the other issues, they decided to adapt it. And that is where the question of representation came in. Because they would not be able to operate it the way the Greeks did, looking at their size. They decided to adapt the system to their own reality. Now, if we must practice democracy, for the United States and the rest of them, election is a crucial factor. And in that election, and the winner scores maybe 55% of the total votes. Maybe the second best will now get maybe 40%, and then you distribute the other to other parties. Now, would you say that the 40%, those who voted for that person, the 40%, do have a stake? And so we must embrace a system that will be able to take care of our needs. And that is that there should be no, the winner takes all. Let there be what you can call something close to a unity government, where everybody is brought to bear, depending essentially on the level of popularity. So the man who scored 40 should be equally, or should be made to be part of the government, because his interests will be covered by virtue of his presence in governance.
Nigeria needs a robust and a decisive process of national integration. Right now, if we say we are cohesive, we are not telling the truth. Centrifugal forces are far more wide-ranging at this time than those that unite us. I've made this statement a couple of times. Right now, we need an agency for national integration. Nigeria needs to be integrated, and we need to be committed to once we are not integrated, once we are not working towards the same purpose, our developmental processes will be retarded.
Indeed, promoting a true sense of national integration is one that requires urgency as Nigeria marks 60 years of independence amid unrest, ethnic and regional tensions. There have been efforts, no doubt, but why are they not yielding the desired results? It all falls right back to conversations around the kind of governance that will best address the needs and interests of the people collectively. Felicity Ezewike for Plus TV Africa.
Hello and welcome to the show. Today, this is Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. I'm Udoka Njoko, bringing to you the very best of sports stories breaking across the world. Well, we're celebrating one man today. The president of the Nigeria Football Federation, Amaju Pinnick, is celebrating his 50th birthday anniversary, and the Super Eagles players poured out accolades in a video released on social media.
Mr. President Amaju Pinnick, we want to wish you a happy birthday and many happy returns to come.
Thank you for everything. I wish you happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Amaju Pinnick. More life, more blessings, more success. Wishing you many more years. God bless and take care.
Happy birthday, President. We wish you a happy 50th birthday. Wish you a long life, prosperity, and a lot more success with the Super Eagles.
Hello, President. I wish you the happiest of birthday, a lot of blessings, and a lot of success with us, the Super Eagles.
President, happy birthday to you. Wish you more life and more money.
President, happy birthday. I wish you long life and prosperity. Many more years to come. President.
Happy birthday, President. Now it's 4 years and a half that we are together. I hope that when it's your birthday in December, you did not sack me yet. We will see. We have to win in Sierra Leone. So I hope that we can go further and that we win this AFCON and we win also the World Cup together.
Once again, happy birthday to the president of the Nigeria Football Federation. Now from there, let's go over to what's happening over there in England, where Jurgen Klopp says the return of fans to the stadium is a good sign that football is edging closer to normality, as Liverpool prepare to allow about 2,000 supporters into Anfield this week. And still talking about that one, Liverpool's meet with Ajax will be in a crucial Champions League clash later this evening in what will be the Reds' final fixture before a small amount of supporters are welcomed back into the stadium this weekend. English football has been played behind closed doors since the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic earlier this year, although an announcement has been made that will allow a gradual integration of fans following the end of the UK's lockdown.
I don't think I ever played a game. I played as a player. I had never more than 2,000 supporters probably. But since I work as a coach, there are more people in the stadium. I don't know exactly who will be in and who will be the 2,000. But yes, I'm happy for the 2,000 lucky ones who get the chance to see live football again after all that time. But I have no experience with 2,000 people at Anfield, to be honest. So we will see how we adapted to no supporters in the stadium. We will try to use 2,000 in the stadium and try not to suffer with 2,000 or 4,000 supporters in an away stadium. So that's how it is. But it's really not about us or the advantage we have with that or the disadvantage somebody else. It's a nice sign that these things are possible, and I hope that it is just the first step. That is my biggest hope.
Well, still in England, Wolverhampton Wanderers striker Raul Jimenez underwent an operation on his fractured skull following a clash of heads with Arsenal defender David Luiz during Sunday's game. Now, the Mexican forward needed oxygen on the pitch before being taken off on a stretcher and rushed to the hospital. The 29-year-old scored 17 goals as Wolverhampton finished 7th in the Premier League last season. And of course, other clubs and managers are sending their goodwill messages to Jimenez, wishing him a safe and quick return to action on the football pitch. Pep Guardiola regarded him as one of the best strikers in England, and we're looking forward to him making a return and helping Wolverhampton finish well in the Premier League. So talking about the Premier League games were played yesterday. And for Fulham, they climbed out of the Premier League relegation places with an impressive victory over Leicester City that denied Brendan Rodgers' side a share of the top spot. Now, the visitors scored twice in 8 first-half minutes, and Leicester they also struck the woodwork twice in quick succession as Wesley Fofana's follow-up to Yuri Tillemans' volley cannoned off the crossbar. Now, for Fulham, their second win of the season takes them up 2 places to 17th position, while Leicester City remain 4th and 3 points behind leaders Tottenham Hotspur. Of course, if they had won that game, they would have been top spots. They would be sharing the top spots with Liverpool and, of course, Tottenham Hotspur. Well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll tell you about the updates of coronavirus right there in Newcastle United.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Welcome back to the show. It's still Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. Remember, you can reach us on social media at Plus TV Africa on Twitter and on Instagram. Now, moving over to Newcastle United, they were forced to cancel training on Monday, and they have closed the club's Benton headquarters amid the COVID-19 outbreak, leaving Friday's trip to Aston Villa in doubt. It is also looking like Tuesday's session will also be scrapped after at least 5 positive cases in the camp in the past week, and that will leave them with just 2 days to prepare for the game at Villa Park. However, that fixture could yet be postponed if, as expected, more positive results are confirmed. The cases have been increasing when it comes to the English Premier League, and we're still talking about football fans coming back to the stadium to enjoy the best of football. So the FA has a lot to do to ensure the safety of these players and also the fans who will be coming in to support their favourite clubs. Still in England, going back to the game that was played yesterday, another one, well, for West Ham United, they moved 5th in the Premier League with victory over Aston Villa in a pulsating match at the London Stadium. Villa's Oli Watkins was denied a stoppage time equalizer after an agonizing VAR wait deemed his upper arm was offside, even though he seemed to be held back by Hammers defender Angelo Ogbonna. David Moyes has quietly established the Hammers as an effective outfit this season, and they got off to the perfect start when Ogbonna buried a header past Emiliano Martinez inside the first 2 minutes. And talking about Martinez, he's a former Arsenal goalkeeper. And for West Ham United, great result for them. And for Aston Villa, Grealish was good enough, but of course he wasn't there to help his team secure a 2-2 draw and go ahead to win that game. But 2-1 it ended in favour of West Ham United, and more games will roll in this weekend. In the Spanish La Liga, it was Real Betis losing at home to Eibar by 2-0. And the Italia Serie A games were played yesterday. 2 games to be precise. Torino set for a 2-2 draw with Sampdoria, and Genoa lost at home to Parma. And for Parma, it was the former Arsenal man, talking about Gervinho, who was one who got the brace for Parma to secure all 3 points for Parma. Well, moving over to the Olympics now, we hear that the Olympic Rings monument was reinstalled in Tokyo Bay on Tuesday after being removed in August for maintenance as organizers ramp up preparations for next year's summer games. Talking about the Olympics, it was postponed, and the return of the monument was originally installed in January, should send a signal that the games are getting closer. And the monument, which will be lit up later today, will remain in place next to Rainbow Bridge until the Olympics finish in August before being replaced with the Paralympics logo. Now, the Olympics were pushed back by a year in March because of the novel coronavirus pandemic, and organizers have yet to provide a figure for how much the postponement will cost. We're all looking forward to the Olympics and expecting nothing but the best. But of course, down here in Nigeria, we're hearing that not all the athletes will be represented the country because of a few cases of drug abuse. But when we confirm the reports, we'll surely be here to let you know what the update is. Let's take another break, and when we come back, we'll look at fixtures that will be going down in the UEFA Champions League later today. Diego Armando Maradona, a child born on the 30th of October 1960 to a poor family, grew in leaps and bounds in his footballing career, acquiring legendary status. Maradona, who made headlines during his time, was most popularly known for his hand of God goal, a goal which he scored against England during the quarter-finals match of the 1986 FIFA World Cup. Diego Maradona died on Wednesday, the 25th of November 2020 at the age of 60 after he experienced cardiac arrest, and medics were unfortunately unable to revive him. 3 days of national mourning was declared in Argentina, and tributes from across the world poured in.
I think we should remember his greatness, how wonderful he was with the football, how much joy he's given to so many fans all over the world, not just in Argentina. But he was like a magician with the ball. He could do things that mere mortals couldn't do. You know, I mean, he had a vision that mere mortals didn't have. He was fiercely competitive. He was a natural leader. Obviously, he had troubles off the field, but the memories that will stick with me are the magnificence of his football.
His life, I think, shows how nice life can be when you are a world-class footballer, and how difficult it can be as well. So he was a very, very impressive figure.
Diego Maradona was my idol growing up. He was a person that, I was always born into a football family, but he was the player on the world stage that made me fall in love with the game. I remember vividly moments of World Cups in my early years. I wasn't even that put out by the hand of God. I was as an England fan, but his individual brilliance overcame that as I grew up. Was fortunate enough to meet him very briefly.
Very privileged to spend and to know Diego well. I know him well enough, and in my big defeats, he would always call me. In my victories, never. But I will miss Diego, and I still, of course, I'm very sad, but I have a smile, because with him, every minute I spent with him was to laugh.
The UEFA Champions and Europa League games witnessed moments of silence for the legend. The year 2020 has been filled with a lot of ups and downs, from COVID-19 to the passing of big names in different industries. Sadly, the world of sports witnessed one. Diego Armando Maradona, famously known for the iconic Hand of God goal, indeed goes to rest in the hands of God. May the gentle soul of Diego Armando Maradona continue to rest in peace. Now let's go straight to the UEFA Champions League games that will be going down today. In Group A, Lokomotiv Moscow will take on Salzburg, and Atletico Madrid will be up against Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich have already qualified for the next phase of the tournament, and they won't be with the full squad in that game away from home to Atletico Madrid. In Group B, Shakhtar Donetsk will be up against Real Madrid. Real Madrid needs to win this one against Shakhtar to have a chance of qualifying, while Borussia Mönchengladbach will be up against Inter Milan. In Group C, it will be FC Porto taking on Manchester City, and Marseille will be up against Olympiacos. In Group D, Atalanta will have it tough against FC Midtjylland, while Liverpool will need a win or a draw to secure qualification if they can get something against Ajax. Now, looking at the group standings, Bayern Munich have already qualified for the next phase. Atletico Madrid have 5 points and they sit on second position, while Lokomotiv Moscow take their own 3 points and the third position. This is after 4 games played. And in Group B, Borussia Mönchengladbach on 8 points, Real Madrid on 7 points, while Shakhtar Donetsk are on 4 points. So if Madrid gets a victory, they just might top Group B if Borussia Mönchengladbach gets to drop points against their opponents, talking about Inter Milan. In Group C, Manchester City have already secured qualification, while FC Porto have also qualified for the next phase of the... No, they still actually need a game. If they get a victory, they can qualify for the next phase of the tournament, while Liverpool, Ajax and Atalanta still have a chance of finishing top of their group, talking about Group D, if they get victories in their game today. So it will be a tough one for Liverpool, Ajax and Atalanta. And for Atalanta, they just might get a victory over Midtjylland to take them to 10 points, whatever happens between the game, in the game between Liverpool and Ajax. So great one to look forward to, talking about the UEFA Champions League, and I'm sure the matches will be very, very interesting with a lot of goals scored later tonight. Well, let's wrap up with the world of car racing now. Formula One, to be precise, world champion Lewis Hamilton will miss this weekend's Formula One Sahir Grand Prix in Bahrain after testing positive for coronavirus. His team, the Mercedes, said the Briton woke with mild symptoms on Monday and returned a positive result at a subsequent test and again at a retest. Hamilton, who is now self-isolating, won the Bahrain Grand Prix at the same circuit on Sunday. Now, Mercedes said a replacement will be named in due course. The 35-year-old clinched his record-equaling 7th world title at the Turkish Grand Prix on the 15th of November. Sad one for Lewis Hamilton, but we're expecting an announcement to be made shortly, who will ride with Valtteri Bottas on the tracks come Sunday. And for Lewis Hamilton, it looks like he's going to clinch the World Championship. Of course, he keeps going on and on, breaking all the records right there, and we wonder who can stop Lewis Hamilton. But hey, the records are there to be broken. Well, that's our wrap on today's show, Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. I hope you enjoyed the package. I'm with Doka and Joko saying please continue to stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day. Remember, this is the season, and of course, Christmas is just around the corner. So I'll say Happy New Month to each and every one of you out there. Keep it locked down to Plus TV Africa because big stories live here.
This is Plus Politics on Plus TV Africa.
There were a lot of men, but they chose me.
Parties in Nigeria, they're simply platforms of convenience for people to go and aspire for power.
If you were not awarded a contract, then why are you coming here that you are aware?
Let me explain. No, it's okay.
Some people have also accused you of talking too much.
Even if I say things, people like Obasanjo should tell us, don't say that. Not that Obasanjo will be saying, and with results that will be carrying cake to go and say, Obasanjo, stop that.
If you have your family issues, you don't discuss them in the marketplace.
Those who will take over governance after the exit of the military will be mindful of the economic deprivation of our people.
Will the cost of governance ever be reduced?
Census good, but timing has to be right.
The people who are getting the palliative right now may be the wrong people because we do not have data.
Plus Politics, 7 p.m. Mondays to Fridays on Plus TV Africa.
What was assumed to be a regular day for the people in Itafaji, Lagos State, Nigeria, was met with the lasting trauma of a 4-story building collapse housing an elementary school. This was one of the 43 building collapse incidents in Nigeria in 2019. The building caved in seconds with no time to escape. Some of the victims share their encounter as they live with the indelible scar of the collapse.
I tell from our teachers, they own that school. I tell for them, until this school have want to collapse, then I beat me. I tell for my teacher too. This school have want to collapse, they too beat me. When I'm writing, that school now collapse.
So when the school started bending, so our head decided that some people could come and plaster it. So after they plastered, it was not still straight, it was still bending. So I was not afraid to go to the school.
Àwọn ọmọ tọ̀dọ̀ tèmi dẹ̀ ni twins ni wọ́n, Táyé àti Kọ́hìndé ni. So inú àwọn méjèèjì, Táyé ni kíní ẹ̀ ṣe léṣe jù ló bá lórí. So ó gbabẹ̀ kú síbẹ̀. But Kọ́hìndé ó sì wà alive fún tiẹ̀.
Over the last 10 years, the incidence of building collapse in Nigeria has become so alarming and does not show any sign of abating. In Lagos State alone, which is Nigeria's largest city, there were 17 building collapses in 2019, recording the highest number of collapses of the 36 states, followed by Anambra State. Consequences of these building collapses cannot be overemphasized, as they include loss of physical properties, destruction of movable properties, injury and loss of life. In a whole, it has economic, financial, psychological and sociological implications, as each collapse carries along with it tremendous effects that cannot be easily forgotten by any of its victims.
I was not breathing, I was only breathing sand. I was under the umbrella for 4 hours.
I spoke with experts and disaster experts who shared reasons for the recurrent collapse.
Our people are engaging in sharp practices. Sharp practices deals with the type of material that they are using to build their building. Look at the engineers that they are using. You will discover that some of the builders that they are using, they are not professionals. You get what I'm trying to say? They are not professionals. Secondly, if you look at the materials that they are using, they are substandard. The blocks are substandard. The integrity are substandard. Now, when we now look at where do they obtain government permits? No, 95% of them are not taking government permits.
The other thing that could have also been responsible for building collapses, deviating from what has been designed. For example, you could have designed a building for a story building, and getting to site, you said you want to take it on the additional floor. Most likely, you're already signing up for a collapse.
Items which are very important and salient in the construction may be omitted, and this would cause distresses in the building.
According to Ayinuola and Olalusi, building failure in Nigeria is attributed to 50% design fault, 40% construction fault, and 10% product failure. Of the many collapse incidents, occupied buildings are more affected than those under construction or newly completed. This begs the question, who are the builders and how skilled are they? Who shares the responsibility of building collapses?
I see one block, she have room there. And I say that this school, we are going to collapse. And I go up and I tell for our teacher.
Despite the signs of a soon-to-collapse building, experts say building owners and engineers sometimes do not carry out appropriate tests on their buildings.
If you don't maintain your building, if you don't use it properly, if you don't do integrity tests of your building, it will definitely collapse.
Engineering being a lifelong experience, we're supposed to move along with the innovations and the technological changes.
While individuals have a part to play in ensuring safety standards are adhered to, Governmental agencies have also been put in place to ensure building codes are implemented.
We've put a lot of regulations in place to check and to prevent building collapse. Now, what are the things we put in place? We have a viable Lagos State physical planning in place. We have building controlling agency in place. We have the material testing agency in place. We have engineers in each of our local government. Apart from that, the building controlling agency has decentralized their activities in each of our local government, in each of our central district.
Regulatory body is also doing so much, having to curb so many lapses, and so many unprofessionals are also doing these jobs.
As the government officials grapple to fight against the incessant building collapses, as well as the engagement of building consultants and the adherence to building codes, according to IISTE, it's important that specific tests such as electrical services efficiency test, mechanical services efficiency test, cracks and dilapidation assessment, waterworks efficiency test and quality assessment are all carried out.
Primarily, and this is on a general note, we find that cracks appear on buildings. And for every tenant or every owner of a building, then you find cracks in your buildings, be it on the floor decks, on the side, the walls, diagonal cracks, any type of cracks that you see. It should be a good advice to give that this be checked out by qualified structural engineers. Secondly, you find for old buildings which have gone past, they begin with cracks, but the building begin to have spalling. Spalls is the chunks of concrete begins to fall from the deck, which is the floor slab. And people try to patch them up. People just try to do some palliatives, but these are actually much more than that. The causes are much more than that, and these are just surface protection.
The scars of collapse still dig deep in the psyche of its lucky survivors, who say they would never step foot in the vicinity where his elementary school was once founded.
I feel sad when I'm passing that place. I don't want to enter that place again.
I said that I will never enter the building again. I'm so traumatized.
The reality remains that major victims are those with no power or influence and cannot afford properly structured houses, hence are made to pay the heaviest price, most times with their lives. With the high number of building collapses and the level of reoccurrence in Nigeria, would this serve as a good enough prompt for all the relevant authorities to swing into action and bring the perpetrators to book? For Plus TV Africa, Irene Ubani.
Nigeria's Minister of Information blames the country's inability to adequately fight insecurity on world powers. And the House of Representatives expresses displeasure over comments by the British House of Commons on the hashtag EndSARS protest and former head of state General Yakubu Gowon. This is Plus Politics. I am Kayode Ladeide. Welcome. This is Plus Politics. The Minister of Information in Nigeria, that's the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has expressed that some world powers are stopping Nigeria from getting the much needed armament needed to fight insecurity in the country. He added that the action of the world powers was frustrating resolve to end the insurgency. And still on the foreign scene, we also have some issues that has to do with Borno State, where the governor, Babagana Zulum, has given 6 recommendations to President Muhammadu Buhari. And to discuss this, we have Air Vice Marshal Femi Gbadebo, a security consultant, to help us make sense of the intricacies around this issue. Good evening, AVM.
Good evening, and thank you for having me on.
I'm so excited to have you tonight. While I'm excited, I'm also a bit worried that we have to discuss these issues again. And over again, I will recall some of the recommendations you've made. But let's look at it, whether we have some listening government or probably is not getting to the right quarter. So what do you make out of this statement made by the Minister of Information concerning what he described as more of a sabotage? How visible is this?
Well, you see, the process of procuring arms, ammunition, and particularly weapons of the type of aircrafts is cumbersome and usually has governments involved. So no matter how desirous a contractor is to supply you, if the government of the country does not approve certain arms and ammunition, then there'll be an embargo. Particularly in the US, it usually happens at the Senate. Then, of course, you have the time limit of delivering these things. We know that there's always supposed to be, time limit from manufacturer to delivery. But when they are interested, honestly, they can take out of their own reserve stock and supply you immediately while yours is being prepared. So yes, every time there's a kind of disagreement or misunderstanding between the Nigerian government and, say, the government of the United States or any of the European countries, this is one of the areas where they go, in which they kind of frustrate our effort to get what we need to get the job done.
Okay, so let's also look at what could actually cause this sabotage. We felt for the laymen now, we felt it's time for them to make some money. It's time for them to see how some of these weaponry are disbursed to willing buyers. So what could actually be the cry of the government? Is it that these things are not being made available, or they are seeking assistance from these world powers?
Well, if you want to buy from the black market, just like Naira to dollar rates, it is really, really exorbitant. And that goes down on what you can do. And if you say you have a friendly agreement with the government, then these are some of the, when you have bilateral agreements like military and other cooperation agreements, these are part of the areas. In fact, in some cases, they give these things, they could give these things to you as part of their contribution to seeing to the success of the operations. They did a lot of that in Liberia when we're having the Liberian ECOMOG war crisis. Even when they had problems with Nigeria, they were providing resources directly to ECOMOG, that is or to the armed forces of Ghana. But when you have issues, I think we also need to understand that around the year 2000, a document was leaked in which the security agencies of the United States they had a proposition that Nigeria would break up before 2015. Well, somehow Nigeria has continued to remain, and we've seen all kinds of problems from the Niger Delta to the northeast and now in the northwest. And if you look at particularly in the area of the north, you will see that you have substantial, the terrain is such that the kind of weapons that Boko Haram is using, apart from the guns, even the motorized, the motorbikes and so on, mountain bikes, they have to be supplied by some foreign agency using aircrafts or using the land borders of some friendly countries. So there's a lot that is going on in the Northeast that beats our imagination, really, and which is why it is, the more you decimate them, the more they seem to get arms and ammunition, not to talk of funds, because they have to fuel the vehicles or the bikes, they have to feed the troops, not to talk of the drugs and all in which they make available to them, which make them do all these crazy things that they're doing. So some agencies are definitely interested in seeing that we do not contain this crisis as it is.
I was going to you just took the words out of my mouth. It beats our imagination as laymen. But I want to believe that there is more to this than if you would oblige us to explain. Sometimes when we see some of this weaponry being used by the insurgents, we're looking at it that what does it take to track the source? What does it take to track the funding? What does it take to even track the chains, the movement of these weapons? And that's why you see many of us a bit worried. The move the federal government, the agency did when they were going to track the sponsors or the alleged sponsors of EndSARS. So what does it take to deploy this intelligence to track the insurgents down?
I'm glad you're bringing this in. You can see how easily they were able to come up with tracking of the military vehicles that did one thing or the other and so on. But now we talk about the Northeast. They have never been able to track, or at least to help us track, the movements of Boko Haram. Sambisa Forest, from satellite imagery, you can get every single location in that forest. We have not been able to get these things and so on. So it's just a question of certain foreign powers being interested in destabilizing the government of Nigeria. So sometimes when you hear the Minister of Information speak, you can feel the frustration. And the frustration comes from the available intelligence or the information being made available to them as to how, first of all, what we were supposed to get on Monday suddenly is not available on Thursday, and how certain people who are supposed to have been degraded are suddenly able to get to certain parts of the country and do some of the things that they're doing. Mind you, Boko Haram is not fighting a war. They haven't been fighting a war for a long time. They have been doing what you call shock and awe, which is looking for soft targets, getting there, creating mayhem, and disappearing back into wherever they're coming from. What that does is to frighten the villagers, and to some extent, even the soldiers, the troops who are fighting there. So, there's a lot of work that's been done. The Nigerian Army, honestly, from records available, have done well. The Air Force have done a lot of strikes from the air. And there's just need for better intelligence to avoid unnecessary wastage of manpower.
Wow. While it appears that a lot of Nigerians may not agree with you, especially talking from the recent experience in Borno, where we had, as we speak, I think there is an independent figure showing close to 70. At least the 110 has been disputed and confirmed that it was exaggerated. But even if it is one life, we're looking at, have we become helpless? Even when the presidency explained to us that the place is volatile and that necessitated such huge number of deaths being recorded in one fell swoop. So I'm looking at, how do we come out of this helpless situation, if you don't agree with me now? Or if you agree with that word?
Well, we need to get back to working as a country. As of now, Nigeria, I don't think Nigeria has been as divided as we are now, where, the youths, the opposition party, and certain other, individuals who are not happy with what is going on are calling on foreign governments when you are calling on them to place embargoes on Nigeria, to do all sorts of things, you are not exactly helping the situation where all these people are playing into the hands of those who really don't want us to make progress. So you can see that when there's a debate at the House of Commons or anywhere in the US and so on one side, they have been discussing how to release or to let these military weapons go to Nigeria, like the Tucano aircrafts that have been online for God knows how long. But on the other hand, you're getting these discussions, and most of these people, this is where they get their feedback from. And so they go back to the Defense Committee and say, how can we give weapons to these same people who are supposed to be using these weapons on their own people? Okay. So I think we need to really understand the signals that we're sending out as a people, as a nation, and also, reduce some of those things.
Okay, this will brings us more into the conspiracy theory. I'm afraid we have to go into it because I think you sound very, very convinced that this is more of a sabotage. And I'm asking, what do they really stand to gain? Let's go a bit into international politics now. If they see us go into crisis, I will remind you of what is going on in Ethiopia as we speak, where you have the international community seemingly quiet for a long time. And when the issue was becoming quite unbearable, we see them trying to come in. And the Ethiopian government had to tell them, please stay clear. We are almost conquering the rebels, so to say. So maybe you should fill us in on how does this thing work? What do they stand to gain? To see refugees in large number? Or is there more to United Nations, what it stands for?
Well, I think our historians need to begin to tell us some of the truth as to how we got to where we are now. I'm one of those who believe it is not in the best interest of the white man for an African nation to succeed. And if you look at what's happening, even in America now, you can see the number of Nigerians who are excelling in various fields. That shows you the quality of the Nigerian. If you take the average Nigerian and you compare him with somebody from other parts of Africa, I don't want to name them here, you can see a higher level of sophistication. And that's why like from Ali Mazrui, the late Ali Mazrui, and so on, everybody keeps saying that they are waiting for Nigeria to get our act together. Once we get our act together, Africa will be truly free. Now, those who don't want Africa to be free, they understand this, and they will do anything to undermine Nigeria, now coming out as a future global power and so on. So what you find is that at every attempt, efforts are being made to destabilize whatever progress we seem to be making. You can imagine that, at this stage, it was like we had totally conquered Boko Haram and everything was falling into place until suddenly we started to see all these acts of insurgency going on. And before you could say Jack, the whole thing had spread to the Northwest. We had no problem in the Northwest for quite a long time. But, we look at Zamfara, it was traced to the gold that was being illegally mined. All over Africa, the white man, particularly the French, have continued illegal tapping of our resources. And once there is confusion, I remember when Liberia was hot, there were still foreigners, Europeans, Lebanese and all, mining gold, mining timber and so on. So all they needed was to get in agreement with whoever the warlord was for that particular area, and then access to the sea, and they're exporting, okay? So Africa and Nigeria to some extent is where the resources are. And they need these resources, and they need them at their own terms. So as long as we continue to try to make waves and try to get ourselves together, they will continue to destabilize us the way they're going. And I hope that, like I said, historians will begin to tell the true story of how we got to where we are. And so that our youths, you can see there's been a very major gap in history. When somebody thinks that it is the British Parliament or some politicians from the US who can come and sort out a problem in Nigeria, then they don't understand the meaning of independence. Okay, we need to sort this thing out. It's something that we can sort out here. I'll just like to leave it there.
Okay, Mr. Femi Gbadebo, I'm almost tempted to invite you for a second discussion because it's like you just preempted our second topic, because we're looking at what the House of Reps resolved today to say that they kicked against what the House of Commons did say about Yakubu Gowon and that of the resolution on NSAS. But probably if you oblige us, we will bring you into that discussion. But still on this issue that we are looking at, let me agree with you for the purpose of this discussion that the foreign powers they are suspects in this issue. But you highlighted some of the problems we have. We are divided in terms of demography. The youths have, a good number of them have lost faith in the people in power. Now we are divided in terms of religion, where people believe the government has some kind of religious agenda. We are divided politically, where people would say during our time is this number of lives that were killed and not this number of lives. And that was quite pedestrian. So how do we come together to look at life as lives and not just some kind of numbers being counted?
Well, you find that even at the state and local government level, we seem to have very little regard for the cost of a human life. Armed robbers, or somebody's called an armed robber and you burn him down on the spot. Maybe there's a hit and run and the body lies on the street for days and so on. It's like, where are the agencies that are supposed to take responsibility for this thing? So the police are not functioning properly. The health and sanitary agencies are not functioning. Our hospitals are virtually down. So this is really where the issues are. We must get back to the basics. We must get to a stage where we're even having our sanitary inspectors who go around to check the areas and so on. I think, for somebody to be sending us, treated mosquito nets at this stage of our independence is really wrong. Because, if the right things are done, if the areas are sanitized, if the people are aware of the need to keep the areas clean, we wouldn't have such bad cases of malaria at this time. So it's that aspect of taking care of the basic needs of the Nigerian and then doing whatever is needed to show that lives. The Americans talked about Black Lives Matter. We have a problem in Nigeria where it's as if Nigerian lives don't matter. And so we need to show from government at local, state, and federal levels that indeed these lives matter, so that people begin to value and take care of each other. There was a joke a few days ago that, somebody is burning, and all Nigerians do is bring out their cameras and they are taking pictures, and nobody is willing to go out and help the gentleman that is burning in his car or something like that. So we need to really begin to address these shortcomings in our society. You'd find, like in Lagos, for instance, at the same Jubilee Bridge, I think it is, every couple of days, the truck burns down and many cars are not going, and nothing is being done. If Nigerian government and government officials really care about the lives of Nigerians, immediately something happens, you will see major steps being taken.
Okay.
Starting from the next day.
Exactly.
To make sure that it doesn't happen again. And when it does happen, you have ambulances, you have all kinds of fire services, and all that are available to take care of these things.
Okay, Evian Gbadebo, let's look at still on what Mr. Lai Mohammed said. He explained that the operations of the insurgents are consistent in different parts of the world, that they are actually meant to instigate fear, make people scared of them, get people, cut their throats in a very gruesome manner. And we also have the governor of Borno State trying to look for solution by saying, let's get the youths, let's recruit them, let's bring them into the civilian JTF. So as the way forward, how do we treat these, these wicked souls who are, cutting lives in their primes?
Well, as the governor said, we need to have very local sources of engagement. There's no way that you can have the army deployed in every corner of every local government. When you do that, they'll be too thin on ground to enforce any form of reasonable engagement. But within every rural area, local government, the people know themselves. They even have their own form of vigilantes who just need a little more training and firepower. And that's also part of the problem. If we don't have enough firepower for the army and the other security agencies, how are we going to have enough firepower for this, vigilantes that we're talking about? Because if they're going to face Boko Haram, they must be adequately equipped. Otherwise, they'll just be sitting dogs for the Boko Haram when they come.
Okay, so looking at these young people, looking at their efforts on the path, because the better we involve them, the better we can avoid some kind of anarchy which we may not be able to handle. So how do we do this? Because the governor seems to be saying that we haven't done enough, that his people are being killed almost every day.
Yeah, we haven't done enough, but this is where we need to ask the governors what they're doing with their security votes. That's a substantial amount of money that they use at their pleasure. We are aware that some of the governors in the north, particularly in the northwest, have resorted to, settling the terrorists with the hope of having an understanding that they will stop what they're doing. But what has been the result? They've actually gone wilder than they were before. And I think this just agrees with the Western ideology that you do not negotiate with a terrorist, you do not negotiate with a hostage taker, and so on. You stand your ground and you figure out how you can you can stop them from, because when you pay hostage, they use the money to build themselves up and become a bigger source of frustration to you, and so on. They'll never stop what they're doing. It's just like a blackmailer. Once somebody blackmails you and you pay, they're going to come back. And they'll keep coming back until you wise up to the fact that, okay, look, go and tell everybody my secret. I'm no longer afraid of people hearing what I've done or something in the past. So the young men are there. We're talking about engaging people. Well, let's see if he can even start it in the Northeast. He's given suggestions. What exactly does he want? I can assure you that the Army, in less than 6 weeks, can give these young men adequate training to be able to do certain things. So, let him put down the money and let the local governments identify the people, and then let's see how we move on from there. If he now needs more money from the federal government, and then he can say that.
And thank you so much, Air Vice Marshal Femi Gbadebo. And like I hinted you, we wouldn't mind to still have you for a second topic, where we'll be looking at what the House of Reps have just said concerning the House of Commons deliberation on our internal affairs. So for now, Thank you for your insight. We'll take a short break. And when we return, the House of Representatives expresses displeasure over the comments of the British House of Commons as regards the EndSARS protest and former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon. We'll be right back after this short break.
Today, we have National Assembly that is as dormant as we, the people.
They still believe that the Nigerian youths are just the way they used to be in the past. They don't know that the Nigerian youths are no longer Nigerian citizens only. We are now global citizens operating from all over the planet. The era of shutting down people is gone forever. And the government should know that society has evolved.
What is special about refineries that we cannot figure out, but that Niger can figure out?
When Boko Haram started and we said, look, you need to speak up, they said, oh no, it's against Christians. But today, even governors are being attacked.
I think sometimes our leaders just think maybe we're all morons because some actions they take, you just, you ask yourself, do I look this dumb? Do we look like dummies?
This medal has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
When I start hearing the shoot of gun,
whatever I've done.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
Welcome back. And to the second issue of the day, the House of Representatives has criticized the British House of Commons over its deliberations on the hashtag EndSARS protest during which a former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, was accused of looting the Central Bank of Nigeria. The House, while vindicating Gowon, faulted the allegation by the British lawmakers as baseless and resolved to take its grievances to the House of Commons and challenge the Parliament to provide proof or apologize to Nigeria. And to discuss this, we still have Air Vice Marshal Femi Gbadebo, still part of this discussion. Good evening once again.
Good evening.
And later on, we'll be joined by a journalist and editor, particularly, that's Mr. Dipo Olayokun. But in the interim, let's get the discussion started. The first issue here is the name of General Yakubu Gowon. For a lot of our viewers who probably may not know much about General Yakubu Gowon, it was not part of our history book. We never heard about this. Probably you might need to help us. What could be the link at all to this allegation by a parliamentarian in UK?
Well, General Gowon was what you could call our second military head of state. After the first coup that happened on January 1966, when General Wellington, a gentleman of Igbo extraction, who was the most senior military officer at that time, was installed at the head of state. There were some issues that I would not like to go into here, but one part of the country felt that marginalized because the story is that all the regional leaders were supposed to be killed, but at the end of the day, only predominantly the northern military leaders